Morning, Raptor freaks. Alexiot's here. It is Sunday morning, and the Raptors have lost another disappointing game in a row. 2 nights in a row, two different kinds of disappointing games. A loss to Indiana in the fourth quarter last night. Yeah, really. You know what? I'm just going to start reading the comments, and then we'll get into what happened last night that way. From what you guys are saying, Click's been here. Click was here last night, and he left a message. And Click is very pessimistic right now about the Raptors and feeling really down. And, this is what we do here. This happened last year also. We had different people. I think Click even last year and other people had get real negative and feel like, the team is this and this, and it's not that good, and it's this. Well, we're not seeing the real team right now. We have to remember this. This is not the real Raptors. They're missing, especially last night, they were missing their two most important top leaders were not in the lineup last night, and that had a huge effect on how things happened last night. So we'll pick it apart, and we'll hopefully take some people off the ledge this morning. So if you're feeling a little bit like you're on the ledge as a Raptors fan this morning, you've come to the right place. This is the channel to check out and come commiserate with us. And maybe you'll have a different attitude by the end of the stream. All right, let's see. G has. I'm going to read G's comment first. He is not concerned at all. The bench looked better. The schedule eases up, and when players come back, at least now the youth got some real game experiences with defense focused on them. Yes, that is really a philosophy here. Is through problems, through difficulty, hard times, make a harder person, make a better person, make a tougher person, a more experienced person, a person is ready next time a little bit better. And every NBA game presents itself with a different kind of challenge. And some nights the challenge is different. The challenge could be some nights just trying to have some sort of gas in the tank at the end of the game when you really should be completely exhausted for multiple reasons. And that is what happened last night. And I will keep going. Let's see. Mike is here. Good to see Logical Raptors fanatic. Good to see you, Mike. I saw you put another a clip out yesterday. Go check out Logical Raptors fanatic for very, very good Raptors content, factual, honest Raptors content to educate. That is what Mike is all about. Salute the real ones. Project Truth always. G, no worries. This isn't us. This is not us. Look in the mirror. This is not us, Raptors. This isn't our identity. This isn't the way we play. This isn't the way we play the end of games or any of this. This is inherently just not us. Let's just see. We're missing 3 rotation pieces and a key role player in Birch. So ultimately, this is a development time for sure. And I'm excited for health. Yeah, this is, it really is tough stretch. We've had 14 games in the season now. We're 7-7. That means we've won half and we lost half. And, some of the games we've lost, sure, they were winnable games for different reasons, but maybe they weren't really winnable games for the settings, for what we were coming to the game with as far as who was available. Now, the last 2 games were definitely winnable games, but there were some factors that really limited our chances on the down low, other than just having people not there too. There were a few things that were working against it. And having a back-to-back where you travel from Oklahoma City to Indiana, it doesn't surprise me that the Toronto Raptors fell off in the fourth quarter last night with no energy whatsoever. Last night in the fourth quarter, and this isn't the normal Raptors when you see this kind of scoring in the fourth. We actually talked about this yesterday. The problem with the scoring in the first quarter, I said, well, I don't care about the first quarter as much. I care about the fourth. And we really should have cared about the fourth last night because they outscored us 36-14. And when the Raptors score only 14 and a quarter in the fourth quarter, that means there's something wrong with them. It doesn't usually mean that the other team played good defense. It doesn't usually mean, that they're really, really shitty. That kind of usually means fatigue because they just failed to continue to score at a certain point. And at that point, Indiana had kind of figured out how to beat us, and we had nothing, and they could beat us. Like, we ran out of gas. We absolutely ran out of gas. It's like a car on the road. We had a couple of miles to go still to get to the city, and we ran out of gas just outside of town. And their car may have been behind us in the race, but we were on the side of the road, and they went right past us right at the end of the game and got to the end to win. And that really is a good description of what happened last night. But there were a lot of good things that happened in the game before that. There were a couple of different things that happened that they're positive from the game last night, and hopefully we'll mention them today and help people feel better. But I think it's really true. 3 rotation players and Kem Birch, your real center, your best defensive center. Yeah, that's a lot, and that's not only just that. There's a possibly underlying illnesses on the team that nobody's talking about. In fact, I may be thinking about Gary Trent right now, and the way he's playing kind of mirrors the way he was playing in the beginning of the Philadelphia series when he was battling something and nobody knew it until after the fact. And we're like, why is Gary so bad right now? What if it's a similar thing like right now that Gary is having a similar problem with an illness, but he's continuing to play? And that may be part of the reason why he has no energy. And he shot last night absolutely dreadful. 1 for 13, 0 for 5 from the 3-point range. 6 points in 20 minutes for Gary Trent. That's half of the production of the bad production that he was already like getting criticized for this week. And I think that if we're saying Freddie's sick and he had to sit out, and there are other people that may not be feeling well, I think that Gary's one of them, that he actually may be sick himself. So I don't know for sure, but I am trying to find excuses for last night. Okay. And Mike's right too. Like when the health comes back, it'll be so much good. And this week was tough. This was 5 games in 7 nights, and we just happened to hit a patch of missing a lot of guys at the same time. We're going to have a really struggle like with that kind of condensed schedule with the missing guys. Well, we need our strength of our depth over a really condensed schedule like this. And when we don't have it, it's really, really tough. We really don't have it. We did not have it the last 2 games. We had like maybe 4 or 5 guys off the bench. Like we don't even have numbers or bodies at the games because we have so many people missing right now. Tom Duke is saying, I was upset watching that fourth quarter, not going to lie. Depends on the lens we choose to look through. Character cannot be developed in easy times. Tough times make the journey interesting and victory even more sweeter. Good morning and go Raptors. Yes, Tom Duke, you go real one. Tom Duke, Raptor freak. Yeah, I was upset too, but I kind of felt the things were turning in the game. We had such a good fourth quarter against their top stars. At the half, they had 4 points combined between Haliburton and Mathurin, and that is a huge accomplishment with what they had been scoring already. And that, in a way, is more indicative of the real us when we're not tired, is that we can shut down Indiana and make them have a really hard time scoring. Now, it sucks because we lost our streak against Indiana. They got some good feel good, and now we're really having problems with our fan base right now. Our fans are stupid in some ways, very, very dumb. And I'm just sick of this turning on them at a moment's notice. Why do we do this, Raptors fans? Why do we turn on our team like this? Why do y'all feel like you want to insult them or be real snarky on Twitter and be like, yeah, this and this and this? What's the point of all that? I unfollowed a lot of people on Twitter yesterday just because, I mean, they're positive about the Raptors, but when they're not doing well, they just really start slamming them and they think that they're just witty little comedians. And I'm just like, what's the point of all this? You're just noise. And like, now I'm unfollowing you and muting you also. Let's see. Mike is also adding healthy. Okay, good. I'm glad everybody's filling up the hoop, and I'll have a lot to talk about here. Healthy look with the other guys leveled up will pay in wins in the second half of the season, in the playoffs, and going forward. They will always be injuries during the season. It's how we use that. Yeah. There's always going to be possibly somebody with nagging injuries or people missing, and I think that this experience, well, it's really good for people like Scottie. You know what? Let's take this game from Scottie's perspective last night. Scottie actually had a pretty decent game, 4 for 16, still not shooting totally well. And we talked about why he's not shooting well, guys. on this channel ad nauseum. I will bring it up again just in case nobody saw what I've been saying about Scottie the last couple days. But 9 rebounds, 5 assists, 2 steals, a block, and 8 points. Now, some people will say, once again, Scottie didn't step up. He's much like Gary, and both these guys are not stepping up and doing enough in the absence of Pascal and Fred. Well, he is, though, in some ways. What he's doing is a meat and potatoes kind of thing in the middle, a glue guy kind of thing, where he's doing everything possible around in different ways to help. But the one thing that isn't happening for him right now is he's trying to be an offensive weapon in the lane as a low post player, and he's not consistently finishing his shot from those shots. Those shots are going to go more and more in as time goes on. He has more experience. He's more savvy with how to work in the lane with guys around him and getting contact and feeling like the presence of people around him and how to finish. Now, we saw that skills competition with Tyrese Maxey last year where Scottie would miss a bunch of bunnies in the lane really close, and that's part of it. He needs to get close better at making those shots around there and making sure they go in. Like that, 5 for 16 or 4 for 16 isn't the best shooting last night, but that's going to get cleaned up a lot by Scottie. Now, what they did last night was they had control of this game. They had ability to, if they had more gas in the tank, to just cruise on out with that cushion. We had a maple syrup cushion for a long time in the game of double digits, and we kind of had Indiana kind of waving the white flag and just kind of cruising. Well, Rick Carlisle's a good coach, and he understood about our travel. He understood about things about us, and he stuck to a plan, and it worked. They eventually overtook us by the end of the game. So Scottie, think about it this way. He had really a lot of success. He was happy. He got really fired up at one moment. Him and Chris had a good chemistry yet last night where he was finding Chris, and Chris was getting some 3-pointers and giving Scottie some assists. And at one point, Scottie was just like, yeah. And he came up to Chris, and he was like kind of really happy with him. And I've seen that kind of activity on Twitch when he plays the 2K, and somebody like Lloyd will do something really good, and he'll be like, yes, Lloyd, yes. And he's so happy. There may have been a little bit of a comfortable feeling for Scott about where the game was in the late third quarter and the early fourth. And he saw how dangerous every single team in his league is at any point, and that the 48 minutes are very much to be respected. That every single one of those 48 minutes in an NBA game have to be played all out. And this is part of the problem with these last 2 games is that we don't have either the talent, the energy, or the personnel to do this completely for the full 48. That there's been very little time in Oklahoma City, but there was a lot more time in Indiana that was done correctly. That we played defense correctly. We played correctly for a good chunk of the game. It's just that at some point the defense lapsed because we had no more gas. And that is the lesson. It's like, Scottie, sure, you can feel good in the third quarter and feel like you're going to win. And you have this lead at the beginning of the beginning of the fourth quarter, but you see just how much it takes to complete the whole game and to seal the victory for sure in this situation. So I think that there's some lessons for Scottie about feeling like you got the game in hand and then finding out you really don't, and then it's stolen from you at the end. And those are feelings of anger and just sadness and getting pissed off and wanting to come back and kick the next person's ass. So Scottie got some tough lessons last night, and I'm sure he's feeling them today. And he's thinking about how they lost the game last night and probably going through every single way he could have changed that from happening. Now, we've got Detroit tomorrow, and this is very interesting. We're down in a bad place right now, and we're going to be playing Casey and the Pistons, but there are a couple of things in our favor. The Pistons are absolutely the worst Eastern Conference team right now, and Cade Cunningham is hurt. He's out, y'all. So there's going to be – I'm going to do the preview tomorrow. This is a very interesting game because we've got the whole Detroit thing, that we've gone through the last few years with Casey being their coach and people believing that Casey has a revenge against us and that he very much wants to come after us every time. Well, I want y'all to do some homework today. I want y'all to go and visit my friend, the youngster, Mr. Jake's Takes. Jake's Takes has his latest interview out, and it's with Dwayne Casey, y'all. Yes, Jake. You go, young Raptor freak Jake, on Jake's Takes. You guys go listen to that interview this afternoon, and it will shape an opinion you have on the Raptors with Dwayne Casey in a new way. You may be very shocked about the hard biting questions that young Jake asks Coach Casey and the answers that he gives. You might be very, very shocked to hear what Casey has to say about Toronto and about the people and the team and playing against Toronto and how he feels about us at this point. Jake really gets it out of him, and he tells us exactly where he is with us and in an honest way. So please, today, after we're done here, watch Jake's Takes latest clip, interview with Dwayne Casey. That's your homework for a preview tomorrow, so that when I talk about it tomorrow, y'all will know what I'm talking about, because it's very illuminating. And Jake, once again, you may be better for the media scrum at the Raptors media things than like Michael Grange, Eric Kareen, Doug Smith, all these old heads that have been around forever asking questions. We need to get Jake a media pass and put him in that room, because he's asking the hard-hitting questions to the people and getting the answers we want to know. So check out Dwayne Casey interview with Jake's Takes on his YouTube channel. It's very, very illuminating about the relationship Casey has with the city of Toronto and the Toronto Raptors at this point. And you might be very shocked about what you hear. Let's see. All right, let's see. Nameless is here. Good to see Nameless. They just ran out of gas, man. 5th game in 7 nights. Their injury ravage. Do the math. That's right. We can do all the math in the world and figure out that, like, look, the water just couldn't go high enough in the jug because of the different factors of surrounding the game. And like, don't count out that Rick Carlisle was the coach of the other team and is a very capable, good coach. Now, if they had a worse coach, they might have just rolled over and still not figured out a way to overtake us by the end of the game. And it's a testament to Tyrese Haliburton that he stuck in this game, because he had a very frustrating game last night. We had held him very in check. And it wasn't until later in the game that he kind of got good things going for himself. He only scored 8 points, 3 of 14 from the field, 15 assists, 8 points. He didn't even get a double-double. He could have, but he didn't. And on their side, I want to point to one player on their side that really helped them bust it open late in the game, and that was Canadian O'Shea Brissett. Brissett came in, and his couple of baskets late in the game really helped push them forward towards victory. And then, of course, Buddy Hield with his 3-pointers late. This was really, I was in the I was in the place that a lot of people have been in this last week, in the can't lose scenario thing, because I have Buddy Hield and Ben Mathurin on my fantasy team. And I was like, okay, they lost, but at least I got Buddy Hield's fantasy stats. Great. But all right, one thing I will say, that play was dirty as hell, and they should have called it. And the refs were fucked up last night. I'm not gonna lie, Bill Kennedy, you're losing my respect with some of the bullshit that happened last night. We can get into the details about what the referees were doing last night with travel calls, with various different things. That over back with Thad Young that was involved there, that was completely the wrong call. The fact that they went back and checked that Scottie out of bounds call and reversed it, it was the right call. But in the old NBA, they would have just gotten it wrong and given us the ball without checking it and going looking at it. There were a lot of fucked up things about the refs. Like when the travel calls, let's look at those specifically right now. Now, the thing about those travel calls is that they stacked them more on our side. We had like maybe 4 or 5 travel calls compared to their like 2 travel calls. Like they called them twice for those same move, and it was OG specifically. And what we know from Flagrant Foul, the documentary about Tim Donaghy, is that the referees will do things in games to take moves away from players. That whole part with Allen Iverson was very illuminating about like, oh, we knew he was doing this, and we knew it was technically a travel, and we just want to start calling it on him. Well, that really is what smacked of with OG Anunoby last night, with the way he picks up his dribble to make his move. They kept calling a travel on him. In fact, he got 3 travels just himself, and then a couple of the other guys got travels also. That really sucked, because in some ways they were doing 2 things. They were giving us an unforced turnover, which we did a really good job of not turning the ball over ourselves. It's just that we got turnovers from the refs calling these travel calls. They added 5 turnovers to our total turnover count just from them wanting to decide to say, we're going to call this today all of a sudden. And, that's kind of fucked up. And in some ways, it gets in OG's head. It's kind of like, oh, fuck, I really have to think about, well, I can't do my natural tendency, which I normally could get away with. Now I can't do it anymore because they're taking that move away from me. And it makes a player kind of get in their head. And then the way they did it with calling it on the other side on Haliburton and a couple of the Pacers, they really didn't make it even. There were way more times they called it on us, and they do that just to make it seem like it's fair the way they're doing it. Oh, we got to do it on this side. We got to do it on this side a few times. But if you look at how many times they did it to the two teams, it was way more to us. And OG in particular, they were trying to derail and make him kind of off his game by calling this call all of a sudden. Natalie Sago got so much joy from doing this last night, from doing this. And there were 2 periods where the travel calls came in flurries. It was early in the game, and then later it reared its ugly head once again. And this is the other thing about those calls that's really important to note is when is the call happening as far as with the momentum of the game? Because that is really the most subtle way the referees can manipulate it. Is the feeling in the game that the Toronto Raptors are building steam to start to go on a run, to start to get good feelings. Like maybe they've been kind of struggling, and then all of a sudden, boom, things are starting to feel good all of a sudden out there. And then boom, all of a sudden, Natalie Sago is going like this. Well, that's on purpose, y'all. I'm going to tell you that right now. Those kind of calls can be momentum killers. That is part of what they do with the ref and manipulation. It's not, I don't know if they exactly wanted Indiana to win last night, but in some ways I felt like they were helping them. And those travel calls in particular were really bad. Now, the final piece of evidence about them helping, and this is going to be in the 2-minute report, and they fucked up on this one, was that moving screen that Jalen Smith set on Chris Boucher at the top of the key when Buddy Hield hit the dagger 3. There, you go back and look at that play, and you will see Jalen Smith acting like a football player coming off the line, bringing in to Chris Boucher and basically pushing him from the free throw line, the 3-point line, down to the free throw line. And of course, Buddy Hield's going to get wide open daylight from that kind of illegal screen that was very illegal and very not called at all, completely ignored. So there was a lot of really shitty calls. And I'm very disappointed in Bill Kennedy, Natalie Sago, and Matt Boland. Well, I expect it from Matt Boland. But the other 2, yeah, there was a little bit of a ref hit job and unfairness. And y'all can see it. You see it out there. And they do try and make it look like, oh, this or this. Like even the over and back call they fucked up with Thad Young, they muddle it. They're like, okay, maybe we did get this wrong. So they'll call a call on the other end and turn the ball over to them. Okay, you did a travel. So it's like kind of a makeup call. This is a classic NBA ref thing. That if they feel like they kind of maybe fucked up and maybe the coach is right and that they didn't do a good job, then they'll be like, okay, in good favor, we're going to fuck up a call on them, and then it's even and everything is fine. And they tried to do this a couple times last night where they knew things weren't exactly right with their calls, and they try to say, okay, well, this is our good faith. All right, we're turning them over now, and you get the ball back. But then you don't keep track of how many times they do this to the 2 teams. There's usually one team that's getting it way more, and that's a cover to do the makeup calls on the other team, maybe once or twice. Meanwhile, they're doing it like 2 or 3, 4 or 5 times to us. And you count how many times they call travels on the 2 teams, and that will show the disparity. Because they could call travels almost all the time. And I know Quinn Buckner, I was listening to the Indiana announce team. He was saying that it's really good that they're calling these travels now because basically those moves are they're unguardable. Delano got one at one point. And it really is the one that he got is the one where you hold your dribble and you step a couple times and then you put the dribble down. And I can see where that's a travel, but it's like a stutter step move. It's kind of a move that's been around the NBA for a long time, but now they want to take it away. So it's crazy. The call sucked. And you saw Nick Nurse yelling at them at the end of the game. Some people are like, why is Nick yelling at them? It's not the referee's fault. Well, fucking is. To a degree, it is partly the referee's fault last night because they set up with our fatigue ability for the Indiana Pacers to launch at the end of the game and win by not calling a bunch of shit and then calling ticky-tack shit in some ways. Once again, OG and Scottie do not get any respect for physicality around the basket. But it was very interesting that we really killed it in the free throw battle. We were getting so many free throw attempts. In fact, that was weird to me that like in the first quarter, we had like 14 field free throw attempts already. Like in the first quarter of the game, they loaded us up with free throw attempts. We ended up having 29 free throw attempts for the game. 23 free throws made, so 79% at the field. And we did beat them at the free throw line, but that's the only place we beat them. We lost in the field, and we also lost at the 3-point line. And that was what Nick Nurse pointed to the most about why we lost. He talked about the fatigue a little bit, but he said the big difference in the game was that we made so few 3-pointers compared to them. We made 9 3-pointers. No, we made 7 3-pointers. And they made 19. That's 12 more 3-pointers than us. You do the math. That kind of a deficit to try and beat a team when there's that much a discrepancy between 3-pointers, well, it makes it real hard to overcome. And, listen, Nick Nurse is getting a lot of criticism today. A lot of people are coming for his head right now, and they're so stupid. This pisses me off so much. Now, I've determined that people that are after Jack Armstrong right now are Philadelphia fans. We know this because of the call when Joel Embiid got his orbital crushed. That call made these people very angry and have a grudge against Jack Armstrong, and they're still coming after him. Well, I'm going to tell you guys a little bit of something that I've discovered last night, and I realized who these people are that are coming for Nick Nurse. Now, why would any real Raptor fan want to fire Nick Nurse? Why? You give me a reason. Give me a reason. I know you can't talk to me right now. I don't understand what the reason would be. He won the championship in his rookie year as a coach. He's been a 600% winning percentage coach. He navigated us through Tampa a year that was absolutely awful and dreadful in the best kind of way. There's no reason for us to want to fire him, for any real respecting Raptor fan. This is not us that's saying this noise. They're Boston fans, y'all. Boston fans are masquerading as Raptor fans in the chats, and they want Nick Nurse fired because they believe Nick Nurse ruined Kemba Walker's career in Boston. Yeah. Now we have a motive. This is very much like a detective trying to figure out a cold case or a case or something. Well, what is the motive here? Well, the motive is that there's a very common sentiment in Boston Celtics fandom that Nick Nurse destroyed Kemba Walker's basketball career by figuring out how to play him in the bubble and fucking him up and messing him up in his career as far as scoring. And then he couldn't play for the Celtics anymore. And then he went away. And there are some Celtics fans that want get back for ruining that good thing with Kemba Walker in Boston. Yeah. There's a lot of hate out there about that from Boston fans. So think about it that way. Boston fans are dirty, fucked up people that will call bomb threats on visiting teams' hotel rooms. So they easily can make a profile and put a little Raptor picture on there and say they're Raptor Susie and come in and just start saying, guys, I think especially, and this is when they do it. They see what we're doing with the night. If we win, they're not going to come out of the woodwork and do anything. But if we lose, then they come out of the woodwork in social media spaces and start chirping about, oh, guys, we need to fire Nick Nurse now. Look at the way we've lost these last 2 games. It's absolutely dreadful. Oh, he obviously needs to go. This is the same kind of shit for like Fred VanVleet right now. They want these guys gone because they are so good for us. And they hate us having them, that they think that this is the way they can pry them out or cause problems in the fan nation by having more real Raptor fans turn on them because they listen to their logic and what they're saying and they start getting some steam. It's very insidious. It's very fucked up. So if you are a real Raptor fan and you really do hate Nick Nurse and you want him fired and I'm wrong because that you are a real Raptor fan, well, I would say you're not a real Raptor fan because you don't have the best interests for the franchise. You don't. If you want Nick Nurse fired, you don't have the best interests of the franchise at your heart. You have just a gut reaction, kind of like, I hate Nick Nurse because I hate feeling hurt that we lost. So I'm gonna blame Nick and I'm gonna fire him. No, it's not like that, you dumbass. Come on. You have some perspective, understand the ups and downs, the way the wave of the NBA schedule goes. You have these highs and you have these lows. And why would you cut and get rid of your coach at a low when this is the worst time? This is good life advice. They tell you not to make any major life decisions when you feel depressed and absolutely like shit. And you shouldn't make them when you're absolutely high and jubilant and the most happy in the world either. You got to be in your right mind. And some of y'all ain't in your right mind when you're talking about Nick Nurse today. So y'all get in your right mind, and thank you for joining us here on the Raptor Freak channel, because we will get you in your right mind if you're not in your right mind. Okay. All right. Let's see. All right. Mike is saying that's the NBA grind, baby. And depth is key for wins and higher seeding. It's real. For sure. For sure. Like, we're at 7-7. I mean, that's okay. I mean, I'm looking at the standings right now. We're still sixth in the playoff race statistically right now. We are still not in a play-in spot. We're still not out of the playoffs. We are in sixth at 7-7. So this really is a meaty middle of the Eastern Conference right now, with a bunch of 500 teams right in there, including teams like the Hawks and the Wizards and the Pacers even. The Pacers are right below us right now in the seventh spot. So what? The Pacers are a horrible team tanking for Victor? Is that what we think they are? Well, they're fucking sitting right in the middle of the Eastern Conference right now, and that they're 6-6. So they can't be the worst team in the East, at least from what I see. Right now, it's Detroit. So, and we see like teams like Brooklyn, Miami, Chicago, Philadelphia. These teams are all below us, not much below us. Let's get it right. They're only a half game below us, but they are all below us. And if this is a long season, and I don't know, the NBA is trying to tell us that Philadelphia and Brooklyn are going to be contenders this year. Well, we are in a good spot. We're still in a good spot. We've weathered a really tough first month of the schedule. This has been a very, very tough first month of the schedule. We had the horrible opponents like right in a row, right away, really tough opponents, and then we've had a condensed week. Well, it's going to be a little easier for the next couple weeks, not necessarily opponents, but spacing between the games, and maybe more time to allow for Precious to get that walking boot off, to get Pascal cleared and back in the lineup, because that is the only time we should be assessing who the Raptors are, is when we have Pascal Siakam playing, because he's so important. And Fred also. All right, let's see. Mike's saying that's okay. Yeah, a fun guy saying these teams be so happy to beat us because they've been destroying them for decades, and them beating us is rare. For sure. Pacers Nation is feeling a little jubilant. They got some good feelings going about this. I hate that. I don't want good feelings for other fan nations by this. And that's why I hate it when we lose, is because I don't want to give them good feelings. I don't want good things happening for them, whether it's Philadelphia, Brooklyn, or Indiana. This is the same kind of thing that's happened with a couple teams. Miami's another one. They were in a slide and they got one win against us, and then they start feeling good again. So, yeah, we don't want to do that. We want to be cutthroat, and we want to win. Like Messiah says, we want to win and just crush them. But we also, when we don't win, we got to pick up the pieces, move forward, and stay positive, and keep looking towards the light as far as where we're going and what we can do and get better. I think there's going to be a lot of gumption in Detroit tomorrow at Little Caesars Arena. There's going to be a lot of gumption from these Raptors. And hopefully maybe Fred will be healthy and be able to show up. Maybe Kem Birch could play tomorrow. I don't know. I just hope these guys come back sooner than later, because we need them. Obviously, we very much do. All right, let's keep going. Andrew Bishop saying, good morning, freaks. Good morning, Lex. Good morning, Andrew. Good to see you, my friend. Isaac Campbell's here. We have the same record as last year at this point, but we have Otto and Coloco this time around. We have the same record as we do in the first 14 games last year. We were at 7-7 last year at this time too. Well, all right, let's think about that then. Well, how did we finish last year, and how well did we do by the end of the year? That's what I'm saying. We can have a really shitty first couple months of the season, but in December we figured things out and we got better for the rest of the year. And that's what Nick wants to happen now. This year is we click that little switch like we did in December last year, and then boom, we just on a more better winning clip, and things are going way better. Forget about the little bit of time, because like in some ways, what's going on right now is very similar to when we got hit with COVID around Christmas last year. That we're missing major personnel, and we're sending a skeleton crew out there to fight against the other team, like we did in Cleveland on Boxing Day. That this is not like we're missing a couple very important players. So this can be very much like compared to that little period of time in the schedule last year where we didn't have any personnel available and we struggled and we lost a lot of games right around then. We had this similar. There may just be periods of the schedule every season now because of the pandemic and because of flus and different things where we miss a lot of guys all of a sudden. Like in Tampa, we had it happen too. We had it happen last year for a little bit. Maybe this is our little period of time where there's illness and people away. And hopefully we have good luck for the rest of the year. And most of our guys are available all the time. So, all right, let's see. Mason Culligan saying, I miss our bigs. Fuck my life. Get healthy soon, guys. We need you guys, obviously. I still believe, just growing a bit pissed, but still. Well, listen, it's real easy to get upset. And like Tom said, it was really tough to watch the fourth quarter last night because you saw it slipping away. And one of the things that's a little unsettling about the last two games is we're seeing two of the Raptors calling cards not be present. You know, we have certain big, good, awesome things that we do. In the game on a Friday, it was really that we didn't sustain any defensive effort properly from pretty much the whole entire game. Now, the game yesterday, we did have a better defense overall, but we didn't sustain holding a lead late in the game and game manage the last quarter to make sure we won. And it's fatigue. It's them jumping on us, and just we can't stop them, and we couldn't score. 36-14 in the fourth quarter is not something that happens to the Raptors very often. It doesn't even matter if it's the Indiana Pacers or the Detroit Pistons or the Golden State Warriors or the Phoenix Suns or the Boston Celtics. You will not see that kind of a score in the box score for a Raptors game with them on that side of that margin very often. It's very much usually they're the ones who got 30 points and the other team has 14 points in the last quarter. So that's not normal. That's not a symptom of normal Raptors basketball. So there were two things that last night with not being able to hold the lead, and that's unsettling to Raptors fans because we're used to cruising and taking care of business and getting things done. That is Freddie right there. We needed Freddie in that last quarter just to keep us going, just to keep us steady. And we really missed him. Obviously, Pascal would have helped immensely all around that game last night. We wouldn't have lost this game. I don't think we would have lost this game if we had had either Pascal back or we'd had Fred and Precious back together. Well, I think we would have won this game last night. It's just we didn't have enough to fill the tank up to get there. And it sucks because they busted it open. We felt helpless and we felt like there was some time, but then they just kept stacking. It was frustrating because we saw this game slipping away and they were getting all the success and we were not able to do anything. We had a really hard time scoring once we got to around 100 points. That we only scored like 4 more points after that. It was when we were ahead and it was 99-98 and then boom, all of a sudden they're 100-99 and that's when it all went downhill. Is that we were struggling to keep that lead above them and then boom, it's like we're toast. We didn't have anything else in the tank. And it really showed how lackadaisical and how they were moving. They were absolutely exhausted. And I don't know what time they got into Indiana on Friday night. They may have been very similar that they flew and they got there at like 4 a.m. And they're walking around in the hotel room at like 5 a.m. in the morning on Saturday morning instead of sleeping or getting rest. And if there's a couple of them were kind of sick on the down low, there's all kinds of reasons for why the performance happened the way it did last night. If you're really sick on the down low, that can really contribute to it. So, all right, that's Mason. I hope you feel better, and we'll get through this. A win over Detroit tomorrow will make it real sweet considering they swept us last year. And this is the kind of thing that happens. Samson Folks on Twitter last night saying, I have a feeling we're going to beat them in Detroit on Monday now because of this. And I think he might be right. I think he might be right because as much as I think Detroit's going to improve more and more, they've got more rookies thrown into the mix with them that have to be added and kind of figured out and get their legs under them. And with so many young guys on their team, they're very looking young, and there is a reason why they're the worst record in the Eastern Conference right now. So we need to go and discover why and make it even worse for them tomorrow and get that W for us and hang them with another L. Lolita's saying it's a challenging game without our superstars. Write it out as a learning experience. No panic button to push. The boys will get well soon enough. Go Raptors. This is a great attitude, Lolita, because you're not just reacting to the present moment of how we are and how we feel right now. That you know that this is very temporary and that things are going to get better very soon. That we just have to have this. People Chicken Little, they'll hit the panic button. They'll be like, freaking out and all this kind of stuff. Well, go ahead. Some of them are like Pensair, and it's like, I can't watch this basketball if it's going to be like this again, and turn it off. You go ahead. These are like Blue Jays fans that won't watch the Blue Jays when they're losing. They're below 500 in the standings. Then they're like, I don't want to watch the Blue Jays. They're fair weather fans. So y'all want to be fair weather fans because you can't stand being around losing or handling how this has happened the last couple of days, and you think that this is really what their season's going to be like the whole year. You go ahead and turn the TV off and don't watch. That's fine. We don't need you around anyway, because we want real ones that are going to stick through the tough times, and then the sweet times, the best times, we earn them. And people that are just like, they're horrible to watch. I can't watch this, what they're doing with this. If they don't have the foresight to understand what Lolita is saying, that this is temporary, no reason to hit the panic button, and you're going to hit the panic button and you turn the TV off, well, you just go right ahead. You go right ahead. More Raptors for us real Raptors freaks, the real ones. And that's what I'll say right there. Denial saying Wancho needs to go. What? We need a dynamic scorer. Go grab Saban Lee from our G League. Laugh out loud. Are you being sarcastic? I hope that's a sarcastic. I can't detect sarcasm in text, Denial. I don't have a little nod or a wink when you're saying that. So I don't think Wancho needs to go. I think Wancho was fine last night. Let's look at Wancho last night specifically, since you pointed him out. He had 15 minutes out there. He only took one shot. He missed it. He did have 8 rebounds and 1 assist. So I don't know. He was useful for rebounding last night, and there were different things he does very well. Once again, he has an experience that is very good and valuable to our team that is skewing towards Otto Porter and Thad Young, who got to start last night. And that's part of the reason why we got so many free throws in the first quarter, is that vet experience of those guys knowing how to get to the line. Those two specifically got to the line a lot in the beginning of the game. 3 or 4 at the line for Thad, which is good because he's very shitty at free throws, even 16 years in his career, and 2 for 2 at the free throw line for Otto Porter. But they knew how to they were getting to the line so much early. And I was thinking, man, this is good. We're getting more free throws than them. We're getting more respect, but it still didn't matter. Saban Lee, I'm not impressed with him right now. I'm not a big fan of him right now. He almost made us lose the game on Friday night with the turnover and missing 2 free throws late, which would have put us at a 2 possession margin, which would have helped us win for sure. But then we had to make a last second shot by Reggie Perry to win that game in the end. So he was bailed out by Saban Lee was bailed out by Reggie Perry, and he would have been blamed for how we lost on Friday night if Reggie Perry hadn't hit that shot. So I'm not impressed with Saban Lee. Go pick a different G leaguer to call up if you really want to do something like that. I would say maybe you want to go get, that Wooten Jr. kid looks really interesting. He's very strong. He got hurt in the game on Friday night, but he's good. He's got he's a big body. That's the other thing about him. But Reggie's still the best player on that team, I think, that is actually playing, other than Jeff Dowtin, who's already on a 2-way. All right, let's see. Scott B saying, morning freaks, still the best team in basketball. Love Nick Nurse's press conference. Fuck the refs and fuck the NBA. Yeah, I mean, the reason why Nick was so mad and yelling, some fans are like, "Why are you yelling at the refs? It's your fault that they lost." No, it's not necessarily Nick's fault last night. Trust me, I'll blame Nick Nurse when I think it's his fault, and I have blamed him for the Brooklyn game this year. But that last night was not Nick's fault, and I like what he said after the game. He was very much more happy with the effort by the guys last night than the effort on Friday. Friday, he was steaming mad at the players for the effort. But last night he felt like they worked really hard, and considering the whole circumstance of the second night of the back-to-back, the travel, and missing guys, he's proud of them. Actually, he was proud of them and how they fought, even though they lost. So in some ways, he's not that upset about the game last night. He was way more upset about the Oklahoma City game, and that probably is because he did not see any defense played by his team, and that made him really mad. So yeah, the refs sucked, and I'm totally with Nick yelling at them at the end of the night, and the pictures of him, and people are like, "Why is he yelling at the refs? It's his fault." No, it's not. It's the fault of the schedule and the referees and just us poorly executing in those situations. We had to be absolutely perfect and running on fumes to win that game last night, and you can't. When you're running on fumes, you can tell because when they shoot the jump shots in the fourth quarter last night, their legs had nothing under them. They're like, whoa. And then the ball's like air ball or something like that. You saw that with a couple of players in the fourth quarter last night where they had no legs under their shot. And they were having a hard time rotating at that point. The whole game, they busted their ass and they were getting all kinds of compliments from Quinn Buckner and him saying like, this team's very long and Indiana can't beat them. There was like the first half was really good for the Raptors because we absolutely stymied Indiana and all their best weapons. Them only having 4 points between Mathurin and Haliburton is a huge accomplishment considering both those guys are averaging over 20 points and they get like 40 points a game. So we controlled their two best offensive weapons. And it really was that we were switching so well and using our length that they couldn't catch up or get around it. And we saw a couple of 24-second clock violations because it was just Indiana trying to work the ball around to shoot over our length, and they were not finding any success. So in the first half, we really played really, really well and contained them really, really well. It's just everything fell apart by the end of the game. And kudos to them for sticking around and being in position to still reach up and snatch the game. And that I give that credit, a lot of it to Rick Carlisle. And just having that kind of game plan and keeping them on task to say, look, they may be beating y'all and you may feel like they have like busted this game open and they're completely controlling us. But trust me, guys, wait until the end of the game and see where their energy level is. And then you guys go out and pounce on them. That could have very well been what Rick Carlisle been saying the whole night last night. So there's a good coach over there. There's a young team. They're not totally super skilled and talented compared to us, but the settings are ripe for them to come and steal the game. Nick is a true G, laughing my fucking ass off. That's from Mike. Yeah, I think so too. And like, listen, there's no rhyme or reason for people to want him fired right now. Seriously, what is your reasoning for why you want him fired? If anybody does believe they want Nick Nurse to be fired that's in this chat right now, please write it in and give me some reasoning for that side of the argument, because I want to investigate this and really kind of understand why anybody would want Nick Nurse fired. If you're a Raptors fan, I can understand why Celtics fan wants him fired, and they're imposturing as a Raptors fan and trying to get that fire lit in our dumpster. And I'm not about that. So I put out dumpster fires in the Toronto Raptors dumpster. We ain't letting none of our trash burn in this dumpster. Anyway, all right, let's see. Click saying this could get a lot uglier. After Detroit, we have a tough stretch of games again. Without Pascal and with a mediocre version of Fred, we could easily fall under 500. I'm very concerned. Yeah. I mean, we should be concerned to a degree, but also aim high and hope for the best. And the one good thing about these games, sure, there's a couple of tough ones. We got Miami, we got Brooklyn. I think we're going to see Milwaukee soon. Maybe not. We see Dallas again before the end of the month. The one thing that is better about these games is they're better spread out. There's no back-to-backs for the rest of the month, and they're all like at least one game and day in between. And sometimes there's like 2 or 3 days in between. So these guys are gonna get better rest and more time to recuperate. And also, they're gonna come off the road and hopefully have some home games. I've noticed we never win on Friday. We are at our like 0-4 on Friday nights for the regular season so far. I hate that. I hate that. What is that about Friday nights, Raptors? That we can't win on a Friday night. Now, what you're saying, Click, could very well happen, but we want to wish for the best and think for the best. So this is what I think is going to happen. Maybe we get Fred back for tomorrow or Cam, and then we get back Precious next, and then we get Pascal back by the end of the month, and then boom, by December, maybe we look like we're back to normal again, and we just had a little bit of a period where it was difficult and we struggled. So I don't want to go too on the deep end as far as like these things that are happening right now with us are permanent and they're happening for the rest of the season going forward. No, 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 no. That's not going to be the case. Things are going to get better. And they're going to get better faster. Part of it is they were on this trip and all this stuff started happening already, like Freddie getting sick, Precious getting hurt. This was all after this trip started, and they've had to adjust, and they're on the road, and that's kind of tough. Like you're already down Pascal. Now you're down Precious, and then Fred's gets sick, and you're on the road and you're traveling. It's just like a perfect storm of a lot of bad things all at once. And in fact, maybe all of those things were necessary for Indiana to beat us last night in some ways. Like if somebody had just been there, like maybe if Precious, like I said, Precious and Fred had been there for the game last night, we probably would have won. If Pascal had been there and the other two guys weren't there, we probably would have won. So that they really just barely had enough to beat us and the situation with what was happening. But I wouldn't be too concerned about this. And it's very important for us to be above 500 and to be an over 500 team, because that is being a playoff team. If you're under 500, you're probably not going to be in the playoffs. You'll be in the play-in at the very best. So the 500 mark is very important. And we don't want to mess with that. Like tomorrow, that may be a big part of the gumption and the drive for the Raptors to win against the Pistons, is that they don't want to be under 500. And they may very much be saying that before the game. Florida Flex is here. Good to see a cool name, Florida Flex. I'm from Florida. My name's Lex. I'm Florida Lex. Good to see you, Florida Flex. Mediocre version of Fred. He's been balling since he came back. What are you guys even talking about? Well, click means more like if he's not totally healthy and he looks like he did at the end of the season last year. It's kind of like if his knees, but that's the thing that it won't work with this because it's not his knee that's bugging him right now. That's not a problem with him. His health right now is just he's sick. He's got a congestion in his respiratory. So I think what Click's saying isn't probably likely unless he gets re-injured, which we don't want. But he's moving great. And Florida's exactly right. That dude has been balling out and playing fantastic for us in the couple of games before he missed, yesterday, and he played kind of half the game on Friday. You could say maybe he's like half-assed Fred on Friday night, sure, but he was sick. I'm going to stand with Flex on this one because I don't see any mediocre Fred this season. This is Fred VanVleet, all-star, badass, leading scorer for a single game for a Raptors game in the history of the Raptors franchise. So let's see. G is saying to me now, oh man, I love seeing so many different names here. I hope everybody gets everything they want to say out so we can really cover this subject today. So let's see. G saying, I like Scottie as a forward, controlling the ball in transition at times. Having him as a guard, this may be a long-term development situation, but the expectation is to win. So I can see Barnes playing a forward position at times to get him going around the net without worrying about facilitating. Well, once again, we saw him really, really working hard around the basket. He was trying to do stuff down there. And once again, he had mixed results. He had some success making shots, just going up over guys, and then sometimes failure, to turnover, or just like missing the shot and just not making it. But that's all going to be worked out over time. He just needs the reps. He needs time accrued and working those situations, and he'll get better and better and better. It very much is, like we said, Pascal and OG kind of stuff. We've seen their learning curve over their careers and how long it took Pascal to become who Pascal is. It doesn't happen overnight. And everything that Scottie was doing last year was just naturally easy coming to him. And that's what's so hard for people to understand this year, is that they want Scottie to be like he was last year, and they don't realize. I really think that this is such a good analogy. Last year, he was in regular science class learning about dinosaurs. Well, this year, he's in like physics or chemistry class, and he's learning a little bit more advanced subject material that is a whole different kind of situation. He's like in kindergarten last year. Well, he's already like in grad school, studying grad school level physics. And that's the whole difference in it. Like, sure, last year was easy. He just learned the names of the dinosaur. Oh, Triceratops. Oh, Tyrannosaurus Rex. Oh, Raptor. And now this year he's like figuring out E equals MC squared, and like the valence electrons, and like they spin this way. That's what I'm saying. The subject material this year is way harder than last year. So this is a big reason why Scottie's struggling right now, because he's doing things that aren't easy to do for any player in this league, let alone a second-year player. And in some ways, he's way more advanced and ahead than a second-year player would be with this. Sure, some guys naturally just have it. But this is something that you really got to learn at the NBA level in a new kind of way. You could have this in college, but with the new, bigger, stronger, tougher, faster NBA players, you got to adjust and learn it. Like, that's a big part of what Christian's going through. Is sure, he can do all this low post craziness at Arizona and dominate and do all this stuff, but in the NBA, it doesn't translate yet. These guys got to get NBA bodies. They got to get NBA style of physical play and be able to finish through contact. And they don't have that yet. And it translates to looking like, okay, Scottie's hurt. Or, oh, Scottie sucks this year. It's his sophomore slump. Fuck all that. Thad talked about this in the interview after the game last night. I was actually shocked that they asked him so much about Scottie Barnes and his struggles right now. And he had some good opinions about this. It's just going to say they believe in Scottie and they understand that this is normal stuff. In fact, they even said the word sophomore slump. And I was like, I don't really put that on him, Thad. But I love what he said. He said, we believe in him. We know he's going to be fine, and he's going to get through all this. But to some people may see it from the outside, and they're like, what the fuck is wrong with Scottie? Well, it has to be his ankle. That's why he's not so efficient, or his stat line doesn't look like it did last year. No, he's in school. He's learning very hard material, and he's not totally just brilliantly 100% successful at it naturally right away. But he will get way good at this. And this is a really good investment for long term. Kind of look at it this way. Some of the work that we invest into Scottie and him being ugly and looking bad right now is going to pay off in the long term. It really is an investment. Look at it how it was an investment for Pascal in the times that he struggled and worked so hard to manufacture baskets through contact in years past. And look at the level he's at now. That's what it is. They all have to learn and go through the fire to an extent. And Scottie's going into the fire right now. And it's not easy. And one of the things I said yesterday that's really important to remember is he's advanced. He's ahead. Because some guys, first of all, they have to learn to recognize when they have a mismatch and they can go and take a bully ball opportunity. Sometimes they don't even know to train themselves to see that. Well, he's seeing that, and he's going right into those moments. And then the other thing is some of these guys have to work on getting to the spot near the basket without turning the ball over. Think about OG, maybe trying to dribble into the post and then him dribbling off his foot or something like that over the years past, trying to do post stuff. Well, Scottie is at least not turning the ball over to make his move, and he's getting to his spot. So those are two things he's already doing well. The last one is just converting. And that really is the next thing that he's going to get good. I love the fact that he can recognize the situation to go do it. And I love the fact that he can get to his spot, that he physically can go there quick enough and with the size and get to his spot. And he's not getting charges. He's not getting, dumb turnovers because he's losing the ball in the process for the most part. That means he's in good shape. It's just he's got to finish the shot through the contact and make the high percentage of those shots. And that's something both him and Koloko really got to work on right now. And I really like that Nick took Koloko out of the starting lineup last night and put Otto and Thad in together as a set. Koloko, in some ways, because he's a rookie and we've been starting him recently, that's been an interesting experiment. But when we're so unsure and we're not doing the baseline regular things that we do, like on defense and our calling card stuff, you can't have somebody who's so inexperienced in your starting lineup. So taking him out of the starting lineup and putting him back on the bench for last night was actually super smart because we couldn't start the game last night in an unsure way. And whenever you have Koloko in the starting lineup as a rookie right now, there's a certain level of unsurety and inexperience that's just inherent in that lineup. And that was really smart to bring those other two guys in because they set a good tone for us right away. And they got us free throws for the whole game, partly because they were out there. So I really was impressed with that decision by Nick in the starting lineup, how he did the starting lineup last night. So let's see. But yeah, the things about Barnes, whether it's the forward or the guard position doesn't really matter. He's doing guard things, whether he's a forward or not. In fact, I laugh at when they show the starting lineup at the beginning of the game now because they switch him around like musical chairs. He'll be like, okay, he's the point guard spot. Oh, now he's in the power forward spot. Okay, now they're putting him in the small forward spot. Oh, he's in the shooting guard spot. And then you'll see him sometimes all the way at the end on the center spot too. So it's just all arbitrary. Who cares what this actual position that Scottie's playing right now? He's a basketball player. He's one of the 5 on the court, and he's going to do whatever his skill set is in that moment that needs to be done, whether it's a center thing, a guard thing, or a forward thing. So Andrew Bishop saying, nope, Fred has been great. The freaks know. The freaks know. We're in the know, and we know. Fred is good, yo. Denal saying, shoot, I'd trade Ryan Hawkins or Gabe Brown over Wancho at this point. No. No, Ryan Hawkins has not showed up for the 905. He's not the dead eye right now. He's hit a couple of threes, but really he has not been impressive on the 905 level. He's a bench player, and he's not even getting that many minutes on that level. So no, it's not Ryan Hawkins. Gabe Brown, I maybe get closer to maybe get going along with what you're saying because he's starting and he's playing quite well down there. But no, still, listen, Wancho, have some respect for this man. That's a Eurobasket champion. That is a actor who was in a Bo Cruz movie. And he is just a cool dude. And he's kind of nice to have around. Scottie loves being on a team with Bo Cruz. And so I don't know. There's no reason to slander or put guys down or say get rid of them or bring guys in. Wancho's on the team for a reason. And he's good. He's actually really good. I'm really happy with him so far. So I don't understand where this is coming from. Scott B saying, like Mike said, it's all about how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward. Sure. Yeah. Like Rocky. Raptors are getting hit hard right now, but our back 20 is always way better than our first 29. Let's go, Raptors. That's true. It's like almost the season could actually be like a game. Like what happens in the first quarter of the Raptors? Sometimes we're down by 12. Maybe we're in the first quarter of the season and that the whole season is a long season and that, we're the kind of team that comes back and makes things good. I really do expect us to win a huge amount of games in a real impressive way at some stretch of this season where we absolutely win like an 8 to 10 game win streak. And we got to have perspective and understand that we're just in a really bad place right now, and it tests you and it makes you have the hard lessons. There's hard lessons being learned right now. Malachi said in his interview last night, he said, the team is learning that you can learn from these kind of games and take things from this. Scottie in particular, like I said, he hates losing. And the way we lost last night and the way we all felt it, the way we lost, think about how Scottie feels about that. And think he's probably like 100 times, 1,000 times more than how we feel about it. That, he hates losing. He really does. And to lose a game that you had in your hand for most of the game and you felt like, well, we are kind of cruising to the end. I really let my guard down last night. I was like, okay, we've beaten the Pacers. We're going to win and everything's fine. And then boom, no, it didn't happen. That's part of the reason why we're so disappointed. Well, think about how disappointed Scottie is because they may have thought that they had the game also. And that's part of the lesson. Is that maybe these guys were lackadaisical. It was like, oh, we're doing pretty good. We can cruise. Well, no, you can't because it's the NBA. It's the full 48, and any team, it doesn't matter how good you think they are, they can rise up and play a certain way. This is very true. That Click said this the other day. Every single team is good at this point. They're either established or they got young players that are bringing them up, and they're dangerous. So there's no easy games in the NBA this year. There really isn't. If it's going to be Houston and Detroit or the bottom teams, and they're the way they are, there's no easy games this year. Every single game is going to be a fight to the finish, and you got to do as best you can. All 48 of the minutes. You can't take any time off. A fun guy saying, I can't lie, I wasn't upset. I wasn't upset about Brooklyn, the Mavs, Oklahoma City, or the Pacers. We knew they were losses going in. You can add Detroit to that list. Laughing my ass off. Well, I'm not going to do that, though, fun guy, because that doesn't go with our Raptor Freak tenements of being positive. I think we're going to beat Detroit tomorrow because we lost these last two games. These guys have pride. They would have shown that pride last night completely if they didn't run out of gas, and they would have taken care of it. But this game, they're going to have a day of rest. They're already in Detroit right now. And they'll come with a different kind of effort tomorrow. And this is the thing. Detroit's in a weird place right now. Cunningham is out, and they're adjusting to not having Cade out there. And they're starting Killian Hayes. And it's a little bit of a different Detroit looking team right now. So I'll do the research tonight for sure. And I'll have all the information for you for preview. But this is my early take on this. Detroit's ripe for the getting. And there's a reason why they're the absolute worst team. I think almost in the league, honestly. Like who they've only won 3 games. Okay, the Lakers and the Rockets are worse, but they're at the bottom. They've only won 3 games and lost 11. You tell me, are they going to have the Magic Casey's revenge over and over again against us? Well, I'm going to tell you once again, go watch Jake's Takes interview with DWAYNE Casey, and you'll learn exactly where he stands with the Raptors. And you may be shocked, actually, to hear what he says to Jake about how he feels about the Toronto Raptors. You may be absolutely shocked. I don't want to spoil it. We'll talk about it tomorrow. Either you can go watch it and spoil it that way, or I'll tell you tomorrow. You'll find out then. But yeah, I don't want to add Detroit to that list, fun guy. I don't think we're going to lose tomorrow. I actually think we're going to win tomorrow. Mike's saying, Scott, 100% facts. He's saying that Scott's 100% because Scott's saying Mike's 100%. Yeah, I love it. You go, Raptor Freaks. Nameless is saying Indiana laughing and smiling and skipping around. We're going to remember that when we're healthy. We're going to remember this. Yeah. Haliburton was really getting frustrated. We really fucked him up. And then some of the calls were crazy and he was getting mad at the refs. He really had a struggle last night. Whatever. Let Indiana have some shine. I will say this. You can tell where a team is with their team by the announcers sometimes. You listen to the other team's announcers, and maybe they're humble. Maybe they're not very too big for their britches. You will listen to Celtics announcers, and they're always talking out of their ass and being arrogant and just assholes. Certain teams are like this, but the Indiana announcers are very grounded and realistic, and they don't toot their horn in ways, and they're really kind of like, yeah, we're not very good, and we have to show respect because there's a lot of nice things they said about the Raptors team. And both announced crews in the last 2 games were very complimentary about the Raptors, even though we looked like absolute shite in both games. Both those announced teams also said, this is not the normal Raptors, and we realize this. There's no Pascal here, and they gave us respect in absence of us not being the real Raptors. And they really do have this perspective. I wish Raptor fans would. Opposing telecasters are saying this is not the real Raptors. They're much better than this. So we can't really totally read into this. Why can't our fans understand this? Michael Cage understands this. Quinn Buckner understands this. Why can't our fans understand this? That this is just temporary, that when Pascal comes back and guys come back, we're a way better team. And they understand that, maybe they just caught us at the right time in the schedule to get these wins because we're just missing some guys. So Fred saying, G saying Fred feeds the hot hand, and sometimes that's him. He's the most efficient 3-point shooter on the team. He is for sure. And he's the most steady. I mean, that's not just a nickname. We're in trouble. He is the guy we can count on. He's going to get a 3 at some point to help us carry water still. And that was lacking at the fourth quarter last night. We really needed him. If it wasn't going to be him, maybe Gary, but Gary was just given up on at a certain point in the game. His first half was really bad. And then he didn't get any better in the second half. They tried to give him a chance in the second half to get some things going, and it just didn't happen. I really do think that he may be ill, and it's on the down low, and it's similar to what happened at the beginning of the Philadelphia 76ers playoff series this year. Now, Malachi was the benefit of that. He got more minutes in the second half because Gary was so ice cold and taken out of the game. Malachi got a lot of crunch time and important minutes, and he didn't look that bad, actually. Malachi wasn't bad. 23 minutes, 3 of 9 from the field, 8 points. He was a plus 10. He was our highest plus out of all of our guys last night. Now, my 3 stars for the game last night, OG's number 1 star. He wasn't exactly clean, but he was 9 for 16. That's better than 50%. 3 assists, 2 rebounds, a steal, and 2 blocks. He only got 1 steal, but it was a very emphatic steal late. And it was kind of like a frustration steal where he just took it in midcourt and ran it back and slammed it. I love that. 26 points for OG. So he was kind of really carrying water for us last night, like Pascal would. And Quinn Buckner loves him. He's from Indiana, and he's a way better pro in the NBA than he was at Indiana. And he kept saying, "Who could have thought that OG Anunoby could have became who he's become in the NBA today?" And he was like really talking about him like he was beaming with pride. That like OG is such a great product from the state of Indiana, from their university. So they really were giving him a lot of kudos. My second star last night is Chris Boucher. Chris Boucher off the bench once again, really solid, really like trying his ass off. The things that are happening with these last 2 games are very similar to when Chris had to go to Cleveland and be the man, and he had his epiphany. He's really kind of feeling that kind of feeling of hopelessness around the team that he felt on Boxing Day last year, where he had this moment. He said, "I don't want to be like Pascal. This is hard work. This is really hard to have the responsibility to be the guy who carries the team. And I have way more respect for Pascal now that I see how hard it is." Well, Chris understands that this has kind of been happening the last couple of games where people need to step up. And OG was really that guy, but Chris is also stepping his game up and trying his best off the bench. And I really like what he did. 19 points, 6 of 17. He shot a lot of threes last night, and he made a couple of them that looked real good. 4 offensive rebounds with 7 total, 1 steal, 1 block. He was only a -3, which is pretty good considering how the game ended up by the end. So Chris Boucher is my second star. And my third star is actually Thad Young, who started really strong. He had 15 points, 6 of 10 from the field, 5 rebounds, an assist, and 3 steals. The thing about Thad was he became like our bread and butter guy for a little while in the game with his post moves. And Indiana was saying that because they had him in Indiana for 3 years. So they're very familiar with Thaddeus, and they really like Thad too. And Quinn kept saying, "Oh, he can just beat everybody in the post. Nobody can stop Thaddeus. It's what he did for us when he was on the Pacers." And he's right. Like, he was really unstoppable on the left side of the basket with that little baby hook and backing Pacers down. And that was really nice to see, because that's kind of a break in case of emergency kind of like thing about Thad Young that hopefully we can utilize when we're in trouble in the future in this season. And that he really is very solid with that little low post hook and backing a more less experienced player down and just getting easy. He can keep scoring for us when we're having trouble scoring. That is something he did a little bit last year. When he showed up right away. It's like we'd be in trouble. We need to score. Well, boom, all of a sudden Thad gets something close to the basket. So those are my 3 stars, OG, Chris, and Thaddeus last night for the game. I wish we had more guys that kind of stepped out. All right, let's see. Hugh is here. Good to see Hugh again. Jeff Dowtin Jr. took a flight to Indiana at 5:30 a.m. just for Nick to give him 0 minutes game time. He's getting the Matt Thomas treatment. Well, it's just an extra body, and they didn't necessarily want to play him. I know a lot of people were calling out for it. They wanted Jeff Dowtin out there, and he's the coach. We got to trust in Nick Nurse. Maybe this is why people hate Nick Nurse today. You didn't play Jeff Dowtin. Why'd you make that man fly all the way over there and do all that just for that? Well, he's needed because Fred was out, and we needed the extra body, but we didn't actually play him. And I know that's kind of weird, but it is what it is. Jeff's going to get his time. Trust me. By the end of this year, he's going to be converted from a 2-way to a full roster spot. He's going to be on our playoff roster. Mark that down money-wise. I'm going to tell you that right now. Put money on that. Jeff Dowtin will be converted from a two-way, and he will be a part of our regular roster by the end of the year. So just believe in that. It'll happen. Don't worry. Mike's saying Jay going hard at Casey. Jake. Yeah, Jake really does. Jake actually, honestly, you're a badass, honestly, Jake. And he really is a Raptor fan because he really comes at it from a Raptor fan perspective. And it's funny how he handles Casey in this interview. And it's really cool how he got Casey as the interview. Is like, I don't know, Jake, you're really getting big gets for your interviews. And I love it. I love it. But Casey just was delighted, tickled pink to get interviewed by young Jake. He took it real seriously, and it's really a fun interview. Really fun interview, guys. Scott B saying beating us is like winning a championship. That alone should tell us how good the Raptors really are. I know. It's like a moral victory. It's like you beat the Golden State Warriors, and they're the champions. It is true. Like some of these lesser teams, they really do get up and feel this. And it's also part of this whole mystique that like some players had never beat us in their career. Like there's some Pacers that beat us for the first time ever in their career last night, because every time we've played them in their careers so far on the Pacers, we've won. And they never had the feeling of beating us. That there is some of that going on around the league. And that's part of the reason why we are so feared, is there are some players out in the league that have never, ever won against the Raptors in their whole entire career. And that's why it means something. And that's part of the respect. They may not respect us in the media, but the teams and the players in this league, they do. And they know how much of an accomplishment it is to actually beat the Toronto Raptors in the way that we play now, in the way that our defense is so nasty and mean. And just, ask Indiana how they felt trying to score on us in the first half last night. It wasn't fun. They couldn't do nothing. They were getting so stymied. The 24-second shot clock would run out on them at times, or they wouldn't get even a good shot. In fact, part of what Quinn Buckner was explaining on the telecast to the Indiana fans was that the Raptors are stymieing them so much with their length that the Indiana Pacers' best game plan was to shoot haphazard shots when even they just see a little sliver of daylight. And he was saying Haliburton's taking a shot he'd never take because that was all we were offering him to even get a clean, good shot on. And there was things about last night that I hate because, first of all, Indiana played like shit last night. They made so many mistakes. They missed so many open shots. There's no reason why they should have won this game last night. If we had had proper energy and effort through the whole 48, we would have easily won this game because Indiana played like shit. It's just that when you have a car and the tank runs completely out of gas and there's still 2 miles to go in the race and the other car is still running, what are you going to do? You can't do shit. You got to push the car. By that point, you're pushing the car on the side of the road. So, Click saying Masai has to trade somebody to get a legitimate backup point guard or someone who can get buckets for us on the bench. Fatigue played a role. Stars being out played a role. It's exposing the flaws of this team. Yeah, but, in some ways, these aren't really flaws. This is just us not being at full strength. And every team goes through this. I think somebody posted this on Twitter last night, and it was really smart. How many teams in this league can lose their 2 best players and not miss a beat? How many teams? And then add in an extra, like one of your most important bench guys and your best defensive center. How many teams in this league can miss that kind of personnel, those 4 guys, and not miss a beat and not show that they're struggling and having trouble? Yeah, I don't think there's very many. You take Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown and Robert Williams off of the Boston Celtics, and how good are they? How good are they? You don't have any of those 3 guys. And that's pretty much the equivalent of what the Raptors are going through right now. So that is really what we got to look at. I don't think we need to have like a hair trigger response to the stuff that's happening right now by saying, oh, we need to make a move, though. That's not what's going on here. We just need to get healthy and continue to grow and develop with the core that we've got. And as far as what you think we need, legitimate backup point guard, I think we have like a bunch of different backup point guards, and we can just use different ones. Maybe Jeff Dowtin is more of a legitimate backup point guard in the classic sense, and that maybe he's the guy that maybe will help you understand this, or like help you feel good about having a legitimate backup point guard if you played more. And as far as getting buckets for us on the bench, that's Otto. That's that. These guys are getting buckets, and they will get buckets. It's just that we had to shift them to the starting lineup. And actually, our bench did really well last night. We got 19 from Chris. That's 21 plus two. Let's see, that's 29, 33. We got 43 bench points last night to their 43 to 42. So it was pretty even. Oh, wait, no, they got 40, 45, 43 to 45. So they actually did outscore us on the bench. But that is actually a pretty good battle for us on the bench. We got a lot of production from the bench for once, considering we didn't have a bunch of guys that would normally be on the bench. Thad and Otto were in the starting lineup. So we still got like 40 plus points from the bench. That's pretty good. The assist number was not good. We only got 14 assists by the end of the game, and I hate that. 33 assists for them. Another area where they really beat us was in the rebounds. That they out rebounded us last night, and that's crazy. I can't believe that. We did get more offensive rebounds than them, but 51 to 43 was the rebound battle. And then we absolutely shot like shit. We were under 40% from the field overall, and 3-point range 20%, 7 to 35. And a lot of that is Scottie and Gary and a couple of people not shooting threes very well. Let's see the 3-pointers last night. Well, Thad was 0 for 2. Otto was 0 for 1. Barnes was 0 for 5 or 0 for 4. Trent was 0 for 5. Flynn was 1 for 5. Boucher was 2 of 8. So we really didn't shoot well from the 3-point line. We had a couple more of those go in. That would have been great. That would have been great because, like, in some ways, they were really giving us the game because Indiana got a whole bunch of wide open shots and they missed them. And I was like, yes, they're missing shots. But I'm like, damn, they're playing really bad. And damn, then we lost. Because, like, Indiana did not play well last night. They didn't deserve to win the game last night in a lot of ways. And we kind of just gave it to them. And it sucks. It sucks. Mason saying, can we all see how much Pascal means to this team and Fred? This team is lost without them. I'm sorry. It's hard to watch sometimes, but that's just part of the game. People get hurt, just rough is all. Yeah, ups and downs. No, this is a really good thing to point out. Y'all understand how important Pascal is to this team and exactly how badass and amazing he is. In fact, in his absentia, we should be like, wow, I really love Pascal. We really need him back. And we really need to start respecting his name and stop slandering him when he's in bad places because he's working so hard. And we see how much he really helps our team in so many different ways, whether it's helping Gary Trent be more open to be a better player himself. He makes other guys on this team better. And in some ways, he may make Scottie way better. And we didn't even realize that also. That's part of the effect. With the absence of Pascal, these guys are supposed to step up and look even better and have more production. Well, their production is shrunk because Pascal is taken out of the picture and that he adds to it. Like, look at that from an abundance versus scarcity mindset. That in some ways you think, oh, Pascal, he takes so much that he would take away from everybody else. No, he brings abundance. Because what he does brings abundance to other guys. And when he's not there, there's scarcity all of a sudden. So that's an interesting dynamic of Pascal's absence recently, is the effect he's having on the offensive game of Gary Trent Jr. and Scottie Barnes, as far as they're not as good without him there. And that's very much true right now. It's for sure. And they're probably thinking that. They're probably like, God damn it, we need to get Pascal back. Callie's here. Good to see Callie. Good morning. It just seemed like they couldn't miss their threes and we couldn't buy one. Pacers were really good at moving and passing. I don't even think they were that good in any kind of way. They just got lucky. They got lucky we were tired, and they kept going. They didn't give up. That's the one thing I'll give for them. They could have gave up some point in the game because they really were not in control. We had their number, and we were beating them. And that's what the less personnel that we're talking about, the skeleton crew of our team, we were beating them. We had them absolutely contained and under control. It's just that we ran out of gas and no steam. I won't give them that credit, Callie. I won't say that they played very good. They missed a lot of open threes themselves. And they made some bad turnovers. They did not play clean. And if we're getting to really high quality premium basketball that's like at a top level, it really does get down to who makes the most turnovers, who misses the most open shots, and these kind of things. And that has to be tightened up to really be as good as you can to beat somebody like the Milwaukee Bucks. to beat some of the top teams in this league, you have to play absolutely perfect. And Indiana did not play perfect last night, and neither did we. We have not been playing anywhere near perfect since San Antonio. So that's the toughness. You want to get more perfect on the court. And this is part of why Raptor fans freak out, because they want the perfection. They want them to play a perfect game, no turnovers, make all your free throws, hit all your open shots. But it's just there's a relative range of how perfect you are on any given night. And if they're not this perfect, well, maybe they can still win. It could be ugly. But against really good teams like Boston and Milwaukee, you have to be as perfect as fucking possible. Well, there's at the line, not turning it over, making all of your open shots. And if you don't do those things, you will not win against those teams. So it's really like you want to clean it up and be as perfect as possible. But I don't think either team involved in our game last night was very good at all. Both teams that kind of played like shit. And it was just really kind of which team's going to be the one last standing. And it really was that. Nameless saying the double dribbles and travel calls were BS, total manipulation. Well, seriously, go watch that Untold Flagrant Foul, the Tim Donaghy story, and see how they set up the whole narrative of how referees can just decide all of a sudden, we're going to call this on Michael Jordan all of a sudden. We're going to call this on Allen Iverson. We're going to call this on OG Anunoby all of a sudden. It could very well be that there was an NBA head office directive for the ref crew last night. That they had a little bulletin point that said OG Anunoby makes a little move when he picks up his dribble to go to the basket. Well, it's technically a travel, and you guys can call it. So please focus on this for the game tonight. They can do this. They have bullet points that they get from the head office, the ref office, and they say, look at this. Don't call any fouls on LeBron, and call travels on OG right at the beginning of the game and catch him. And that's why Sago was doing her disco move. Like, woo, woo, Saturday Night Fever. Yeah, pizza party. I love pizza. Bill Kennedy singing karaoke. Yeah. I mean, yeah, that was manipulation. That's the right word for it. It really is the timing of when they call the travel calls. It could really kill momentum. Trust me. We could have good momentum starting to build up, and boom, there's a travel call, unforced turnover that was really just decided by the referee at that moment to call it. And they, maybe they change this and they say, oh, they're not going to allow this anymore. Well, they better fucking call it all around the league and not call that move and not allow that move all over the place with every single player. Because we could play tomorrow and OG could probably get away with doing that same move, and the referees aren't even keying on it or care about it then. It's just that they really wanted to key on it last night. And Brian Windhurst. Well, why would they do that to OG right now? Is he getting a little too big for his britches on the NBA media, like front, as far as like, he's getting talked about for Defensive Player of the Year. He's also scoring really well this year, and he's kind of showing that he's a complete player. How can we fuck him up? That one move he does, it kind of is technically a travel when he starts the move. Oh, there you go. Good job, Bill. All right, let's do it. Pizza party. Pizza party. We're going to have pizza party. And there you go. There's Natalie Sago with the pizza party. Bam. All right, let's see. Mike saying, click. I'm going to get to that part in my point guard series and give my opinion on the backup point guard thing, using the past and Masai's words to solve the mystery. But not gonna lie, I will touch on the trade part too. Okay, he's always building this suspense about his content. He can't tell us here. He wants y'all to go to his channel so you can find out. So check out Logical Raptors Fanatic. He's got good stuff coming. Click saying it is a must. We have 0 ball handlers without Fred. Yes, people can bring the ball up the court, but the offense is so stagnant. I don't agree with this. Scottie is not stagnating the offense. He's really cultivating some good stuff. It's just that it doesn't look totally pretty. He likes to be flashy. The one thing I will say is I don't like how flashy he tries to be. I really wish he'd just be fundamentally sound and build from that. You could put the flash in later when you've done fundamentally sound passing, Scott, and then do the no looks and do the trickier stuff. But, he's really good at finding people open in really good situations. This is one of the things that has been tough. You're right. That it seems like on other teams, everybody can find the cutter or the open man or something, like get the ball to them. And we're not good at finding that on our side. Well, Scottie's one of the best at it that on our team. So he is this dude. It's just that he's so young and he's in development. He's not fully formed, that he just isn't suitable completely to be completely trusted at this stuff. But he could very well be very soon. Now, I don't understand. Malachi is not good enough as a point guard for you, as a backup point guard in the a traditional sense. I mean, Delano, sure, he has his flaws and problems with, being wild and maybe like careless at times, but he does do certain point guard things that are actually pretty well. I don't know. Once again, I think that the role defining on the team isn't so like cut and dry. On other teams, sure, you have a TJ McConnell, and that's your backup point guard, and that's just who you have as your backup point guard. It's designated. But on this team, it's not like that. It's all about flexibility, feel, and look, and people's jobs just bleed over into other people's jobs and areas. That's just the way the Raptors are. And in some ways, there's a strength to that Morpheus blob, as I've described it in the last couple of days, of just a whole bunch of skills and a whole bunch of guys, and different guys have different things and they do different things within it. But I know maybe you just want something more traditional, like a TJ McConnell. I don't know. I don't know. I think we have a lot of backup point guards, and they will suffice. It's just some of them need more time to develop and get better and be more consistent, and that'll help. Scott B saying, "I'm glad you see what I'm seeing, Lex. I'm a sports guy. Forget what teams are playing. There was a lot of bullshit calls going on against us deliberately to mess up our flow." Yes, yes, that is specifically the thing with ref manipulation, is to look at the momentum, look at the way the game is turning. Does it feel like the Raptors are about to go on a big run? Do the refs call something to like stop that whole feel on the court all of a sudden? And then all of a sudden they're watching cartoons on the video for 5 minutes. And it's like all of a sudden we have to restart energy garnering and building on our offense. That we already struggle with our offense from time to time, and they know this. So this is a really easy way for them to fuck up the Raptors, is like, oh, they're finally getting something good going on their offense. Well, they struggle so much. Well, let's crush it right now. Travel. It's that simple. It's very much that simple. Callie's saying, you're right, Lex. That screen on Boucher changed the momentum. That at the very end of the game was a dirty play, and we're going to see it in the 2-minute report. They're going to say that Jalen Smith fouled the shit out of Chris Boucher, and it should have been an offensive foul turnover, and we should have got the ball. And that could have changed things completely near the end, where we might have been able to come back and still win that game, but not for sure, because they did have a 6-point lead at that point. But him putting that 3 in and putting them up by 9 absolutely destroyed us, because there was only like a minute and a half to go at that point, and it was a dirty screen that Jalen Smith looked like a linebacker or a center or a defensive guard on a football field coming out to protect the quarterback. And Buddy Hield was the quarterback, and he got enough daylight to hit the 3. Of course he's going to. He's one of the best 3-point shooters in the league. He's a 3-point champion. So, all right, let's go. Nameless is saying, blame Nurse is the most asinine thing I've heard. Well, it is, but it's really much, you got to think about the motive of who's saying it. It's a Celtics fan that wants us to be worse, and they know that one of our strengths is Nick Nurse. It's the same reason why people want us to trade Fred or get rid of Fred. Sometimes they're a fan of another team, and they hate playing against us with Fred, and they realize how good he is and what he does and all the intangibles. So when they see people are kind of like down on Fred for this or something, they try and pull this little string of the garment and unravel it. And that's what this is. There's other fan nations that realize what our really good things are, whether it's Masai, Nick, Pascal, Fred. And if they feel like our fan base might turn on them just a little bit for something that's perceived as not doing very well, then they'll try and pour gas and start a dumpster fire. And we have to be aware of this as Raptor fans, as knowledgeable, smart, positive Raptor fans. Sure, the unconscious, silly ones that overreact and they're crazy, let them go off and do their own thing. But if there's a body of our fans that are like us, that are conscious and aware of this situation, why this kind of phenomenon occurs, then we can say it or point it out. Like, even we could see it. Like, if you see somebody on YouTube or social media, Facebook, wherever, and they're coming at Nick Nurse hard today, question them. Say, are you mad because he ruined Kemba Walker's career? Specifically ask them that and see what they say. If they say, yeah, and they say, okay, you're a Celtics fan. We understand now where you stand and why you want the Raptors to fire their coach because you're a Celtics fan and you're a little upset because you lost your coach because he couldn't keep it in his pants. Yeah, so you're kind of like, oh, we don't get our coach. We want the Raptors to lose their great coach. Their coach that went to the NBA Finals in his rookie year also, except he got the job done, baby. He got that hardware. And what did MA do? No, he did not. Yeah, I can say that to Celtics fan. How does that feel, motherfucker? Yeah, who got that hardware in his rookie head coach year and who did not? Who got there and almost did, but did not. Yeah. All right, let's keep going. Let's see. Scott B saying, if you can't see what they got in the Raptors organization, you don't want to see. Wouldn't even consider firing Nick Nurse. Let's get rid of Masai too. Fucking idiots. Exactly. I know. That's what I'm saying. I'm just gonna let Scott B's comment just sit because that's hilarious. Fucking idiots. Exactly right. Mike's saying he's crying, laughing. Called that too. Indy wasn't tanking when everyone believed they were, hence thinking they would love former Hoosier OG and would give us the high price tag. The owner doesn't like tanking. Well, no team wants to tank. Apparently, we've seen the biggest, some of the teams that we really thought were going to tank, San Antonio and Indiana, they are not trying to tank, and Utah's obviously not trying to tank. So it's like I think everybody's really scared of what Adam Silver said. They're like, y'all better not be trying to tank for Victor this year. Y'all need to try hard, and everybody is trying hard. And that's good because we don't want tanking in the league. Tanking is stupid. It's a horrible strategy to have. And the fact that these teams aren't tanking is good. But there's a lot of fans that just dumbly are like, okay, we see their roster. It's San Antonio looks like this. Indiana looks like this. And they're trying and they did this well against us. And then their mind, the math adds up like this. Okay, well, if they're a tanking team and they just beat us, then we should be tanking for Victor. So all of a sudden, there's all these memes up on social media with Victor in a Raptors uniform this morning because we lost the Pacers last night. Y'all are fucking stupid. Why do people do this? Why do they overreact so far in one way? You would think we're tanking for Victor because we lost to Indiana last night? You're crazy. You're crazy. Who would want to do that? Oh my gosh. Cool Cat saying, good morning, Raptor Free crew. Tough loss. Lessons will be learned from this game for sure. Good game, Delano, Flynn. I feel bad for Gary Trent in a contract year. Scottie will have to accept to go to the rim. The three-pointer is a bonus. Okay, thanks, Cool Cat. Yeah, it is a tough loss, learning loss. I thought that Flynn looked nice. Like I like his confidence. And I really like his baller mentality and the different things he's doing. He's not really hurting us. He has shown growth. It's just I'm waiting for him to bust open and get like a 20 to 20, 25, 30-point game where he's just absolutely kills it for us. He's just unstoppable and hitting everything. Gary, like I said, I'm gonna, I want to say that Scotty's not hurt. Is not his ankle. Nothing's wrong with Scottie. I'll say that. But I'm going to give an excuse for Gary. And I'm really much going to push this narrative, even though there's no evidence and I have no true proof of this. But the Gary's sick right now. The Gary's sick just like Fred is, but he's continued to play just like he did for the Philadelphia series. We saw how bad Gary was against Philadelphia in the first couple games of the Philadelphia series. Well, he had the flu. And so I'm going to think that if Brian Winders, if Fred's sick and Gary's playing like this, is Gary sick? Maybe that's what it is. And that narrative fits a Raptor freak mentality of positive and giving excuses to the guys for why they're playing so bad. So I'm just going to say Gary's sick, y'all. Even if he isn't, we'll just say he is. Why don't we just say that? We'll just say, oh, Gary's sick. And maybe we can make this up, just like Scotty's ankle this week. And maybe this will be the gospel for Raptors fans. Oh, Gary's sick. Okay, we got to give him a pass. This is how we do our good work, y'all. It's information wars. It doesn't even have to be true. It's obvious in today's sports world. Shit does not have to be true and be put out all over the place. So let's just make this shit up today. It could very well be true. All signs point to it being true by Brian Windhurst. So let's just put it out there. Gary Trent is sick right now. That's why he played so bad the last two games. How about that, Raptors freaks? Yeah, let's put that out there in the ether. All right, Top of Top is saying, "Good morning, Lex. Nick Nurse is definitely not the problem. Thank you. I'm sure he tells Scottie to post up more. Scottie needs to be receiving the ball more there to start his offense, and if doubled, pass out." Yeah, that's a very sound strategy. The crazy thing is, he doesn't need to be posted to get the entry pass. He can go and get in the post by himself. He doesn't need to go down there and his back of the basket and kind of call for it, and then they throw it to him. He will take it and dribble there and turn his back himself. And in some ways, that's really awesome because some guys can't do that and get set in the post. They have to have other people set them up to be able to make their move in the post. So in some ways, he's advanced for that. And that's something that I really like because it really does portend that he's going to be a superstar that can go to his spots and take his shots when he wants to take them. The fact that he can put the ball on the court and dribble a little bit and then catch his dribble and then stand and then do a little bit of like this. He can, you know, I want you to study Kevin McHale, Scottie. I want you to watch Kevin McHale. I want you to go and watch him. You can watch a little Olajuwon also. Those won't hurt. You watch those two gentlemen and the way they play around the basket and with their up and their fakes and their different things doing. You watch Kevin McHale and study his tape and try and mimic him. Just get a little dream shake too. I don't care. Go watch Olajuwon. Those two guys are the two guys that Scottie needs to watch from old school and maybe steal some shit from them. You come back with any kind of Kevin McHale kind of fake out moves where you're spinning and you're coming back this way and you're making the shot, I'll be like, yeah, he's been watching Kevin McHale. So that's my advice for Scottie as far as with this. But he's advanced because he can get to his spot on his own without needing a point guard to set him up from the outside. He will go there himself. And the other thing is he'll push and he'll bump. He'll bump. And he's initiating contact and having a lot of hard contact with players, and he's not getting foul calls or offensive charges for the most part. He's playing within his strength, but not in a way that he's getting called for fouls. And that's another big learning curve sometimes. And they may do this to him at some point where all of a sudden the plays where he bumps somebody back, they didn't call it for a while, but then all of a sudden it's like, today's a new day. Just like OD with the to yesterday, they may be like, oh, Scott, you backed into him. That's an offensive foul. You bumped him over. Marcus Smart flopped. Oh, damn it. Offensive foul. That's going to happen from time to time too. So yeah, I'm excited about Scottie's potential and his growth and developing in the low post. We're seeing it really being capitalized on and focused on by him a lot in the last couple games, and it's going to get better and better. Nameless is saying, screw Pensair basketball. Dude comes across so arrogant, thinking he's way smarter than everyone else. That's a big problem with people. I mean, listen, we are smart people. We can all be smart together. We don't have to be smarter than each other. I don't think I'm smarter than all y'all. I'm dumb, actually. That's the smartest person, is the person that understands they're actually dumb. The dumbest people are the ones that think they know it all. The smartest person is the person that knows that they know nothing. So you go, Pensair, turn that TV off. You're not supposed to be watching the Raptors right now. I thought you can't watch this. You couldn't watch it on Friday. Well, if you watched the game last night, you better double down on turning that TV. Maybe you just sell your TV because the Raptors basketball is so bad this year, Pensair. Oh, if it's going to be like this year, I'm just going to sell my TV. Mason's saying, I'm a defense type guy. When the defense is down, we are down. When guys give up on the end of that end of the court, it is hard to win games like that in the NBA. People get hurt, and then we get better and healthy. This is part of what's so scary to Raptors fans right now, is that even when we struggled, even with COVID and different places, there would be always a baseline of just set defense that we could depend on and count on. Well, we lost it completely on Friday night, and that was scary as hell. It's like we were acrobats, and all of a sudden there's no net at the bottom when we perform. Like, oh shit, do we really want to do this? It's like, that's why it was so upsetting and tough for Nick, is that all the hard work of establishing that defense and that culture on this team was out the fucking window in Oklahoma City. That there was none of that. None of the principles and the things that we do, our bread and butter, our identity and our culture as a team. And that's unsettling because it's like, who are we even then? It's like, who are we? if we are not good defensive team and at least doing that on the court, I mean, sure, we'll struggle on offense. We may have a 5-minute drought where Matt Devlin's saying the Raptors have not scored in the last 5 minutes. We may have that shit, but we're always used to having at least the bare minimum, some sort of defense. Well, we had no defense whatsoever for a lot of the game on Friday night, and it scared the hell out of all of us because we're not used to seeing that. But that is very, very much a very abnormal kind of thing. And it's just that we had a bad night, a mixing of everything coming together at once, of not having certain players, maybe not having the right energy coming into the game, and just not really being dedicated and doing the right things. The communication was bad between the players, and there was a lot of stuff that was just missed. At one point in that game on Friday night, Scottie was up, and they let the back door, and then there's an Oklahoma City Thunder player coming down the baseline and just dunking it, and there was nobody picking him up. He just got behind us and forgotten about. And Nick's on the sideline yelling, the back door, back door. And they're just like, Scottie's up near the free throw line, and he's actually was his assignment. He needed to be back and guarding back near the basket, but he was distracted and not in the right spot. And boom, there's a backdoor dunk by the Thunder. And it looks so bad. You're like, oh my gosh, where's the Raptors defense? That's what's so scary and unsettling about these last two games. Is we had the defense last night for most of the game, but on Friday we really didn't, and that made people think, oh shit, the Raptors are in a bad place because the defense is so reliable for us. It really is. It may not be the exact intensity of like complete water cut offness that we do sometimes, but there's at least a baseline of mostly good defense for most part with the Raptors. We just are used to it. That's why it was so scary. Callie's saying we missed a lot of easy shots under the basket. We need to go up strong. They got to learn how to finish better. And I hate this. Like Gary got so many transition chances to lay it in. He missed every single one of them. And once again, we're in transition. We have a man advantage and we do not convert. That happened again last night. I hate this so much. I mean, this is one of the things that is just a given to me in the classic NBA. You have a man advantage on the break, you always convert. That is so important in the old NBA that you get that opportunity to have an advantage. You have to capitalize on it. And if these guys are going to get a 2-on-1 break and they still don't get a basket, there's something fucking wrong. Like, I don't know if they need to run drills to get better at finishing in contact and quickness and transition, or they need to do drills like with 3-on-2, 2-on-1, 4-on-5 drills or 5-on-4 drills, whatever drill they need to do to get these guys better and on the same page about how to handle these fast break opportunities in transition where they have a man advantage, that they absolutely get 2 points every single time when that happens, because there's a lot of lost points we're not getting. The other teams are capitalizing on and getting because they're fundamentally good at this, but we're not. And I hated it. I saw Gary, like there's a couple of shots he just threw up and I'm like, oh my gosh, he didn't even make it. And we had the opportunity to score for sure. And then he didn't make it. And it's true. There's a lot of close-up shots that aren't going in right now. And Callie's exactly right. That's really frustrating. But they will, and they should. And it pisses me off how much we miss near the basket. Really high percentage shots that should be going in, and they're just not going in. Nameless is saying, or Jay is saying to Nameless, I let him have it all the time. He said to me that my basketball IQ is that of a doorknob, he is so rude to comments who don't agree with him. You know, he said that to you, G, the Raptors freak trivia champion of season 1 that is already in this channel shown the depth of your knowledge of the Raptors and basketball in general, that you have been one of the best voices of reason when we are all chicken littling and we're all freaking out because the Raptors just lost 2 games and it just looked real ugly, that G is the one who comes in with the voice of reason to calm us all down at times last year. This motherfucker don't know you. He don't know you nothing. He don't know you from nobody. And yeah, okay, I'm not even going to go check him out. I was going to go and see what all the fuss is about, but I'm not even going to give him that traffic. I'm just going to go by the word of y'all and just say, okay, yeah, this guy's an idiot. He said that your basketball IQ is that of a doorknob. Well, you know which doorknob it is. It's the most fantastic doorknob to the heaven gate of all the retired NBA legends gone and past. Bill Russell greets you there at the doorknob. that G is at, knows. If that's the doorknob, he's there where he knows he's with he knows what he's talking about. So yeah, whatever that guy. Fun guy saying he's a joke. He loves analytics, so I just combat him with the same analytics. Then he cries about using them to my advantage. We can, this is one thing I learned in grad school and studying sociology and stats and demography. You can make your stats say whatever you want for your agenda. There's a lot of people out there doing this in information wars and stuff. You can make stats say whatever the fuck you want. It's really people come at it with the idea of what they want to say already, and then they just go look for the stats that will back it up. And even then, they'll even fudge them a little or overlook stats that also sit next to them that would contradict what their prediction is. It's just that they really want their narrative to be correct. So they'll only look at the stuff that is like that. I love that you guys are fighting with him and arguing with him. But at a certain point, some people are just a lost cause. Throw up your hands and just unsubscribe and say, later on, bro. See ya. Cool Cat saying Wancho played good the last 2 games. High IQ. We have to get him those open look threes right in his pocket. Loved Nick Nurse's coaching last night. He tried to inspire confidence in Gary Trent, which is nice. Yeah. You know what? He's doing a good job. He's really been arguing with the refs. He's really been on their ass. They were really fucked up last night. That over back call with Thad Young was really hurt us. That once again was at a moment where momentum was changing, and it really just killed the momentum in the game. Absolutely killed it. And they got that call completely wrong. So it's just like, oh my gosh, All right, let's see. G saying, I like Nurse's rotation last night. You can only work with the personnel you have. That's true too. You put out who you've got available and just make the best of it. And I think that he did a pretty good job also. He had some different people coming in there. But once again, could he have measured the rotation in certain ways so that he could have had more guys not so tired at the end of the game? I don't know. It's really hard to say. By the fourth quarter of a game, after playing the night before and traveling all night, I don't know. I'm not an NBA player. I don't know how bad that is or how hard it is to get up for that. And whether these guys are good enough at the end of the bench, like Jeff Dowtin didn't play at last night. What if he had came in as a burst of energy and he may have helped at the end? I don't know. That may have possibly worked, but I don't think he just had enough people in general. And he's really big on putting the best possible unit out there all the time. And, in some ways that hurts fatigue and how wears our guys down. And that's one thing I will kind of think about criticizing him for is not protecting our guys by overusing them. This is definitely something he's done over the last couple of years. And maybe that I'm playing devil's advocate, woulda, coulda, shoulda for last night. Maybe he should have put Jeff Dowtin every single body he had available and brought them into the mix just to add to more endurance and less fatigued players at the end by staggering and spreading it all out more by using every single person he had available last night. Maybe Jeff might have caused a bunch of turnovers though and been really bad also. We don't know. We can't say woulda, coulda, shoulda is that. Let's see. Okay, this jumped. This is way ahead now all of a sudden. I want to see where I'm at. Okay, yeah, we read that. Sorry, I lost my place. Okay, G saying Celtics were 25-25 from what I remember last since before they took off. You mean last year? This is the thing. We're going to struggle. We're going to have hard times. Like I said, this may have been the hardest month of our whole entire schedule. The very first month of this season. This past week was grind with all the games crammed together. And then the beginning of the season, they gave us playoff opponents right one after another in really tough situations. So we're kind of gone through the gauntlet. And now also add the injury gauntlet in with it. And we're surviving pretty good. We really are. It would have been nice to get one of these 2 games in the last 2 days, sure, and not be at 500 exactly. But it didn't happen this way. And we got to pick up the pieces and go from here. And that's why it's really important for us to show that this year we're beating Casey's team, that we're going to beat the Pistons. They may have swept us last year, but this year we're sweeping them. And we start it tomorrow. So, yeah, we got to go there tomorrow. Yeah, teams, Death 4K. Yeah, teams. I don't know what you guys erased, but G's saying, yes, it's an investment. You explained the Scottie situation very well. Thank you. Thank you. I mean, everybody just expects him to be perfect because he looked so perfect last year. And in some ways, that was kind of the way they wanted to win the Rookie of the Year award for him was let's just make him look good. Let's just really play to all of his strengths and the easy stuff, the stuff that just comes naturally, the things that are really easy for him to do. Now he's doing stuff that's not easy. It's very hard. And I really like my analogy that he's in physics now. Yeah. All right. Let's see. Mike's saying Lex cooking on the investment process in the Siakam example. Yeah, yeah. We have examples already. Fans that have watched this team for a couple of years, they've seen the path of Siakam. They've seen where he came from and now where he is. And you got to understand, this is a process for every single NBA player. And they all have their specific individual path, and the rate of development is different for each one of them, and where they're going and how good they can be. But Scottie has a path like this that we have to understand that isn't going to be completely smooth all the time. Cool Cat's saying Otto and Thad and Wacho are our playoff weapons, playoff vets, playoff savvy, good weapons and good guys to have around. And Quinn Buckner was saying that last night. He's like, this is really cool that these guys have these vets, that these veterans on this team really help them. And they did. They did help us in certain ways last night in a couple of intangibles, specifically with us getting to the free throw line so much last night. I think the fact that we had Porter and Young in our starting lineup gave us instant respect in the game. And that in some ways they respected us by putting us on the line a lot right away. That we have to struggle so hard to get any respect to get to the line. Well, they were getting us on the line last night. And I think that it had something to do with those guys starting. I'm going to be honest with that. G's saying there isn't an interesting stat when the Raptors are up by the first quarter, they won all those games. So we win the first quarter, we win the game. Okay. I like that. I want to see that more. I mean, we just barely lost the first quarter last night by 2 points. And it was really kind of ticky-tack, stupid shit that was back and forth. Whereas, like, we could have been the team on top at the end of the first quarter. It was just the way it was going back and forth with the score that we probably would have been. So that's an interesting stat. And it's interesting that's holding true. Nameless is saying, here's another interesting stat, G. The team that wins the first quarter wins 72% of the games. That's just in general in the NBA. Yeah, I think that's true. G's got another stat. Raptors have won 62% of the games Khem Birch has played. Whatever the reasons are, this is an actual stat. So when Khem Birch is available or addressed, we win 62% of the time. He has to play. Okay, he has to play. Nameless is saying, if Jake wasn't 12 years old, he'd be a perfect guest on your show. I'm following Jake, and I don't know. I don't know if I want him to know that I exist or that I'm here. Maybe he needs to grow up a little bit. Maybe when he's 18, he can start watching the Raptor Freak. I don't know. Maybe Jake's already watched me, and maybe his dad heard me and from the other room. He's like, Jake, turn that off. You're listening to an adult program. Yeah, I don't know. I'm really battle and grapple with this whole idea of whether I should be a kid-friendly stream or not. I don't have children myself, so I don't live a kid-friendly life. My life is very much like F-bombs and whatever the fuck I want to say at any time. And that's the problem. But like my brother has said, like my nephew can't watch me because he won't allow him to watch me because of what I'll say. So I don't think Jake should be watching me either. But I'd love for him to watch me eventually, but maybe not right now. Good morning, everyone, from Leslie Hart. Yes. Good morning to you, Leslie. Always good to see you. Nameless saying absolutely correct about Pascal bringing abundance and making other players better. Yes. As we see how dry our creek is without Pascal out there with us, it's like, wow, the water is just not flowing without Pascal, babbling brook flowing through the team. Yeah, it's very interesting. Shane Waters is saying, good morning. We owned the paint points last night, which was great to see. Fuck the refs and fuck the basket for not allowing the ball to go in from a distance. He's blaming the basket. Toronto Raptors 2023 NBA champions. Toronto Raptors NBA champions of 2023. Say it and put it into existence, even if it sounds so crazy on a Sunday morning like this morning after a loss like last night. You say it and you put it in there and realize the highs and lows are very, very extreme. You can go from very low extremes to very high extremes, and we can get there. This is a long season. There's a lot of work to be done. There's a lot of learning and developing and changing and things that can happen with this team, and we want to see where we're at by April or May. And then we'll decide more. But right now, let's just get us on a path of manifestation. Toronto Raptors, 2023 NBA champions, and maybe it'll become more and more a reality and a very possible thing the more we say it. Mason saying, as always, Lex, awesome stream. Raptors fans, stay in the pocket. Our team's best when healthy. We are just going to learn from all this as a team, just like COVID did. We will be back in good shape. Yeah, you don't kill us. We're a zombie. We don't die. You can think we're dead in the water. You send us to Tampa, you think our franchise is dead as a whole. We aren't going to be any good for rest of ever life because we killed them in Tampa. They made them play in Florida. No, motherfucker. That arm went shooting out of the ground, and like we pulled ourselves out of the grave. And we are still very much a dangerous power in the NBA and the Eastern Conference. And that they want us to die and go away and have problems and get rid of Nick Nurse and Fred VanVleet because they want us to be worse. And we are not that. We will be back, and we will be ugly and scary, and everybody will hate playing us just like they do already. So, yep, we ain't going nowhere. It may look bad right now, but you know who the real Raptors are. You know, real Raptor fans, who the real Raptors are. And that's not what we're seeing the last couple of days. Death 4K saying, how's it going, Alexi? Nice to see you. Raptors really miss Siakam, eh? Scottie hate is undeserved. Such a nice guy and does not deserve what Siakam got when he played bad. Siakam, Scottie really are similar. Yeah. Yeah, and this is the thing. Scottie's starting to get a little hate from our own fans, and it's stupid. I hate this. Y'all don't turn on Scottie because this is the dumb thing y'all are going to do. We have him as a franchise player. We want him to be our future. Well, you're going to hear these fans, how they treat their own players. What's going to happen when his contract's up? And he's thinking about where he wants to take his money and play. We want him to stay here. So y'all stop doing this shit and realize once again, maybe other fan nations are coming in and maybe they're doing part of the damage. Don't be like them. Don't be like the fake fans that are actually Celtic fans trying to get Nick Nurse fired. Be for real and support and love our guys through this ups and downs and realize that it's all like that there are ups and downs. Nobody's perfect. And I don't like this. We put as many knives in Scottie's back as Raptors fans. He's going to remember this. And I don't want us to drive him away just because some of y'all are fucking idiots and you're knuckleheads and you don't fucking understand things like what we're describing here today. And that you just want to blame someone. So you come after Scottie like a troll online and start saying all this asinine, stupid ass shit. Well, I hope he never reads your shit. And I hope he doesn't even know you exist. That you're just a fucking piece of shit walking around the world trying to go after Scottie Barnes right now for his struggles and what he's trying to do, taking all that hits and arguing with the refs, trying to get us some respect on the fucking court. And y'all gonna fucking come after him and insult Scottie Barnes? Ooh! All right, sorry. I had to do some fake indignation, like mad. Yeah, I am mad about this, though. And I'm hating that people turn on our players like they did Kyle and DeMar in the past, like they did Pascal in the past, like Fred. Don't do this to Scottie. Be better than this, Raptor fans. Fuck y'all for not being real fans and wanting to criticize and just come after players after bad games. Fuck y'all. I'm going to tell you that right now. If you're that kind of Raptors fan, fuck you. And go cheer for the Leafs or go cheer for another team. We don't need you in Raptors Nation if you're going to come and stab our players in the back after they have a couple bad games. So fuck you. I'm saying that one more time. Fuck you, you fake-ass fans who turn on our team and talk shit about them on social media after they struggle. Fuck you. All right, that's the last time I'll say it. I'm not saying it to y'all because y'all are real ones. You know who I'm saying that to. You know who I'm saying that to. You'll see them out there and what they're saying. And you go ahead and tell them, fuck you from the Raptors Freak. You can write that in. So Raptors Freak said, fuck you. Yeah, tell them I said that for real. Seriously. Let's see. Nameless is saying when Scottie is out of the lineup, I mean, when Pascal is out of the lineup, everybody's game suffers, period. Yes, that's very much the facts and the truth. We can see it. G saying Pascal is tops in the league and getting out of doubles. This is highly valuable as it allows players to be without the fear of an instant turnover. Yes. Yes, it's very, very smart, very good. And not only that, he has such a high percentage of his points that he gets in isolation where he doesn't even need to have anybody else involved in the offense. He can come and bring the ball up and just score all by himself. It's very Michael Jordan kind of shit, Kobe Bryant kind of shit. And we really value this, and it's really good. And there's not a lot of this in the NBA. There's only a few players that can actually do this, and we are very lucky to have one of those few players on our team, Pascal Siakam. G saying allows players to be open without fear of an instant turnover. Yes, yes. And that's part of the reason why they run him through isolation so much without passing is we don't want to turn the ball over in a pass. If Pascal just handles the ball and he takes care of it and he tries to score and we board the ball, then it can be a possession where we run low risk of getting it turned over. So Isaac saying Dowtin is a true traditional point guard and rewards off-ball movement in his playmaking. May not have given us a win, but shot creation lacks when Haliburton gets more assists than a Raps team. Another point guard. Wow, that's a stat that is actually true. Holy crap. Isaac Campbell is coming with a really good observation. Tyrese Haliburton got more assists than our whole entire team last night. We got 14 assists. He had 15 assists as an individual for the Indiana Pacers last night. Wow. And maybe this does give some fire to Click's argument about us needing a backup point guard. Is that, wow, how can our whole team not do this? And why is that so bad? Well, we like to isolate and we don't pass it as much. So that's part of the problem there. Let's look at the assist totals for the Raptors. Who was the assist man? It was Scottie. Scottie had 5 assists. That's the most assists by any of them. And he was trying to pass it and looking for people. He had 2 turnovers. So 5 and 2. He had, that's not the most. And maybe he could look more for people. But at some point, he was actually trying to shoot more and be more selfish for himself. So it's like he can't win. It's like we tell him, oh, we need you to be more aggressive and be more selfish. But then, oh, no, you're not passing enough as the point guard. It's like he can't win with us. It's like let him just do what he's naturally doing, and hopefully he'll find success is what it is. Now, one knock I've heard about Scottie recently, and this may be true, and this may be something that he could actually improve, is that his energy and his focus is different at different times in the game. And Nick has even talked about this at times where in the first half, he may not be involved and not very much doing anything, but all of a sudden he wakes up at some point during the game and he becomes very involved and gets a lot of stats very quickly. Well, maybe this is something that Scottie needs to think about and be like, you know what? I don't want to have any of these periods where it seems like I'm not involved or focused enough or engaged in the game as much as I am at other times. And that he wants to be more consistent with that aspect of how he's playing on the court as being like really dialed in and engaged for the whole 48 of the whole entire game. That is a way that he can improve as a player by just being better consistently throughout the whole game instead of having like a quarter where he's not existent, not doing anything. And then all of a sudden he wakes up in the third quarter and he gets a whole bunch of his stats for the game just in that period of time. So maybe he needs to contribute throughout the whole game in lower levels. Not so out there in major ways, but absolutely consistently giving that focus and effort the whole time and not taking any time off in the 48. Because that is something that he can improve and it will show good dividends of positive things if he can actually do this. And it really is focus, it's concentration and just having his head mindset and like I am dialed in and I am ready and I'm up here, I'm on my Eagles, I'm on my 94 feet of full court press. I'm dialed in on where the rebounds are coming in. I'm thinking about like how Chris thinks about it with projection, where the ball is going to bounce, and I'm going to that spot ahead of time. I'm projecting ahead of where the offensive player is coming, so I know as a defender to meet him at his spot before he even gets there. It's all that kind of stuff. Because Scottie's special like Magic and Larry, and that he's ahead of the game. He's not totally in tune with that yet. And he needs to realize that he can be 2 steps ahead of everybody else on the court because of his aptitude, his perception. But he needs to dial into it for the whole 48. It's like some of the game, he's not ahead of the game by being 2 steps ahead, by knowing this is what's going to happen next. So I can go and meet him here before he gets there. He's not doing that at times. He's very lost at times. And he's caught in no man's land on defense at times too. So this is all stuff that he's a young player. He's going to get better and better at and more savvy with experience. But it's one thing that he really could think about. It's like your mindset, Scottie. What is it, the whole 48? And what's happening in those times where you seem like you're not really there and you're not totally focused on the game? And maybe you can cut that out and get through it. You know, Chris is meditating, you doing yoga. There's a couple of different ways you can clear your head before the game in your pre-game ritual to set this table for you to have that kind of mindset for the whole entire game. And Chris has shown the way. He could teach you some stuff on this. And the other thing that's interesting that we need some teaching from is Thad Young. Thad Young, with his post moves and the things he showed last night, he could very much show some really tricks and interesting vet stuff about working in that area of the court to Scottie. It's like the stuff that Thad's doing is not proprietary. You could tell Scottie, okay, this is what I'm doing, Scottie, and this is why I'm so deadly with my low post. That I want him to get with Thad and get some of his secrets for why he's been so successful in his long NBA career around the low post. That Thaddeus could actually mentor him with his low post stuff. Do this, that. I'm probably there's already happening, and that this has been already happening for a while. But the way he played last night in the low post, Thaddeus, it really is like, oh, well, that stuff Scottie could eventually start doing more regularly and very successfully also. All right, let's see. Def 4K saying the brilliance of Pascal Siakam is being known right now. The absence is showing what he means to us. He is so gifted, and his ability to make people around him better is sometimes insane. With him on the court, the offense opens up. A true hub. Yeah, he's a true epicenter of our offense, and he takes so much of that pressure, and he succeeds and thrives in it. Well, that pressure is being divvied up around everybody else, and they're not totally dealing with it very well. It really does make you understand just how badass Pascal is. That is like this dude is crazy good. That they can be so focused on him, and he still has the output and the things that he does on the court offensively. Yeah, we really do need to respect him in his absence, because we really are getting taught just how much he means to our team right now. Leslie's saying we will not trade Fred, Nick, or Masai. No, we will not. We will not trade any of them. You stop coming into our fan base and trying to do that, Celtics, Sixers, Miami Heat fan, all you imposters. Def 4K saying Siakam fell in love with the jumper as well, and it took away with the game. It's the same with Scottie. He's more Giannis than he is Tatum. They both are. Well, Quinn kept saying this last night. Quinn Buckner, an Indiana color commentator, that Scottie is not a jump shooter and he can't shoot threes. He kept saying that last night. It was pissing me off because I know that's not true. And I know that this is the difference between Giannis and him. He's going to be a way better shooter than Giannis from the outside. Trust me, he will. It's just he needs some time, and he'll figure it out. He's really developed this jump shot since he got drafted. He wasn't a very good jump shooter at Florida State, and he's getting better. And it's not very nice of Quinn Buckner to say, oh, they should just leave him open because he's just going to miss the threes. Well, he'll make them pay. Trust me, he's going to make those open threes more often than not, as more and more as time goes on. But there was an interesting thing with Siakam's career as far as he's gone, kind of been like very early on. He did a lot of low post stuff when he first got in the NBA, and he was still a G League player and bouncing between. He did more low post. Then he did kind of little mid range a little bit, but he didn't have any 3-pointer at that time. And then there was a period of time in Siakam's career where he shied away from contact, and he wouldn't even go into the low post and do any of the, take any brunt of the physicality at all. And he was really working on his mid-range and really on his jump shot. And I was mad at that time in the history of the Raptors because I knew he needed to go closer and get closer to the basket and make higher percentage shots because he was settling for the jump shot way too much. Well, then he came back and it made a change. And he's like, okay, I'm going to more double down on being down low in my spins and getting as close high percentage shots as I can. And then we saw a whole period of time when he started to work on that aspect of his offense more, where he failed a lot. There was a lot of him laying it up and it would spin out, him just not making it. Well, now those more often than not go in. And that's part of the development and the learning curve is that it will look bad, but it may not be going in this year. But next year, all of a sudden, they'll drop. And then, boom, he comes back and he's like, okay, I have more of a 3-point shot again this year, even more. But I like that he's not just taking a lot of threes and doing this whole I'm settling for jump shots thing that he did in the middle of his career already. That he's actually the 3-point shot is there and he'll take it if they leave him out there and he'll look for it sometimes. But it's still the majority of what he's trying to do with his offense is spins and getting as close to the basket as possible. Pascal. So This is really good. And this is why I'm really happy that Scottie's listening to Nick Nurse, because at the beginning of the season, he shot a lot of threes and shot from the outside and did not go near the paint. Well, now he's listened. Nick said, I want you to go to the paint and take high percent shots. Well, he's being coached. Well, he's listening to coach, and that's what he's doing. He's doing a lot of the stuff near the basket. Now, the stuff where he's open and he just takes shots as they come to him is easy and he makes them. That looks easy and smooth. But the stuff he's trying to do now is like running into a brick wall, and it's hard, and it's not going to look really clean and good, and it's going to look like he's struggling, and that's why everybody wants answers for what's wrong with Scottie. That's more in-depth specific about that, and kind of like comparing it to what Siakam's journey is with his shots and where he liked to take shots from, whether it's like close or away and just settling for shots. You know, that's going to be a struggle with Scottie too. It's like there may be times where he may get lazy and he'll be like, I'm just taking jump shots, and he ignores any of the low post stuff that he's building right now. So this is really important that he establishes this low post stuff and really makes it a part of his repertoire, and that he heavily leans on it, because those are the easier shots. Those are the high percentage shots. Those are the ones that are going to be his bread and butter. It's not going to be his outside shot. It's not going to be this. He wants that, and he'll be good at that and proficient at it. But his bread and butter is going to be near the basket and just kind of putting it up over people as he bullies them. So they were even talking about last night, Gary Trent was bullying the Pacers. He's like, you saw Gary Trent. They're like, even their littlest guy on the court is out there bullying our guys. Because he did. He bulled his way into the lane and like forced his shots over people, and he made one of them. But yeah, it was a tough game for Gary, and I think he is sick. We'll continue to say that. Logical is saying to Leslie, don't worry, Fred is here and Pascal long-term with Scottie. I hope that that's true, and that's what happens, that we can just keep the band together as long as possible, because only good things are going to keep happening. They're going to get better and better, and we're going to be on the path towards another Larry O'Brien. Nameless is saying, you're so right about information wars, and that information not even having to be correct. In fact, I'd argue that the more false the information is, the more effective the tactic becomes. It's really dumb, and we're in a very irresponsible time in the history of the world. Journalism and real journalism does not exist. Every single media channel like CNN, it doesn't matter which one it is, Fox, of course, they all have an agenda and a reason for why they give us the news that they give us. And they shape it in very certain ways to get feelings out of us in certain ways. They want us to feel upset and perturbed. So they will write it in a way to make us upset. That's why I don't encourage people to get their news from a reader on television. Read it yourself in print, so that you can put the inflection in the meaning in the words of what the information is they're giving you, without them telling you how you should feel. You know, because very often their delivery and the way they write the copy is to evoke an emotional response from you, so that you'll continue to watch the news and be a viewer, because they hook you with that tabloid, like, oh, fear and fear mongering kind of thing. Like, oh, they're going to tell you, like, oh, the caravan's coming from the south. And they may tell you in a certain way to make you really feel worried about it, even though there's no realistic reason for you to be worried about it, because you live in Maine, you know, or something like that. That you can get the emotions of the information from the way that they tell it to you. So if anybody gets very emotional from the news, stop watching it and read it instead, and let the information come in. You process it, you're just as informed, but you don't have all of the extra bullshit that newscasters put into it, whether it's the way they write the copy or they deliver it with their voice. It can very much shape your emotional reaction to what they're saying. So there's a little bit more, not specifically on basketball stuff, but just in general, how the media can manipulate feelings and get you hooked on, like, yeah, you know, that train wreck and feeling that. And that may be a lot of like regular CNN viewers are hooked on that dopamine feeling of fear and just outrage, because they're feeding it to them that way. Let's see. Mason Culligan saying, most of our points are played off of our defense. Stop that start the dash fast break to me. We are a fast break team. When we get steals, blocks, stops, it sparks our offense. Fast break, we are good when we run. Part of what we need to do to be very successful is have the other team miss shots. And if the other team is making all their shots, it's very hard for us to get going sometimes because we just inbound the ball and we set up and they're already down there. We want to rebound a missed shot and get going fast, and that's just not happening. This is how teams have scouted us, and part of the plan to beat the Toronto Raptors, the puzzle that we are as a team, is to take care of the ball very, very well. That's number one for a lot of these teams, and to take care of the boards very well, and then to make their shots, because when they miss shots, that actually helps us a lot. And if the other team is dead eye and they're making most of their shots, like Oklahoma City was 70% from the field in the first half of the game on Friday night, it's really hard for us to get into our bread and butter and the way we like to play, because we're not able to get our transition going, because that is really what helps us for sure. And Mason's very astute in what they're saying there. And Leslie's agreeing with Mike. Let's see what else Mike's saying. G is a true fan, a real one, a high IQ fan. Saying otherwise, even in his disagreement, is ludicrous. Laughing my fucking ass off. Yeah. I mean, I have an immense respect for G. He's a real one, day one from here. And he's been here with me the whole year. So I really know this guy. And none of what Pensera is saying about him is true. We know that this dude knows what he's talking about. Tom Duke's saying, yeah, just add me to the guy's list of non-subscribers. Don't even give him a listen. There you go. I mean, that's really how you do it, is just don't pay attention to the stuff that is kind of like, yeah, that's anyway, we don't have to go more into that. Shane Waters is saying, I dropped Pensera a nice little ball buster comment the other day on that Fred BS video. Thanks for the likes, freaks. Pretty sure most of them likes came from right here. Bam. Well, listen, we look out for each other and we see each other in other places. I see you guys. I throw some likes. If I see you guys, you may not know that it's me, but if I see it and I know y'all's name and I know, oh, there's Logical Raptors fanatic somewhere on a live stream for the Raptors or something, and Mike says something in the comments, he's an argument, I'm usually one of those people that's hitting a like on there if I found you guys in there. And I see Fun Guy, I see Nameless, I see Shane Waters, I see Tom Duke, I see all of y'all's names in different places. Cool Cat saying different things and fighting the good fight. And I appreciate that. And you're exactly right, Shane. There probably was some people like me that were liking what you said in that video. I didn't go to his channel specifically, so it wasn't me in that case. Van Hoot's here. We need better offensive initiation off the bench. I like this idea, and I think you're right. I think that Otto and Thad off the bench kind of give this, but in the real default, like full complement of the Raptors roster being healthy, we get that aspect. But when everything gets shifted into the starting lineup because of lack of people available, then our bench will hurt for this. But I think we're much better in this area than we were last year. That this was such a huge wide open hole in our team that we really had to address it this summer. And this was one thing that I know the jury's still out on whether it was totally successful that Bobby and Masai took care of this problem, that we still have to see the results as the season goes on. But I say the signs point pretty positive to things being okay in this department as we go further and further in the season. And but maybe it's true. Maybe this what we need is, instead of like a big huge move like a Kevin Durant or a Marc Gasol move in the midseason, maybe we need just a small move where we solidify getting another guy who's similar like Otto and Thad, that's a vet, that is a scorer. Like, what if we went and got Eric Gordon from Houston by the end of the year as an extra gun, a very good three-point shooter or something like that? He's not necessarily specifically the right one, but he's in a situation where he could get moved because the Rockets may want to move him by the end of the year. But that maybe that level of kind of move for the Raptors might be a smart one. Instead of going like a home run ball for Durant or something like that, just get like what Van Hoot is worried about, that we need more better offensive initiation off the bench, more steady and reliable scoring. Somebody like a Lou Williams for Atlanta Hawks in recent years. Nameless is saying Scottie is sick, OG is sick, GGJ was sick, and Nurse was sick. Damn it, 100%. You're saying all of them are sick. Yeah, I don't know if this is true. Maybe you saw something while I've been on the stream, and they've all come out and said, we're all sick. This is why we suck. But we'll believe that Gary's at least sick. Nick Nurse is sick too. Definitely. You could hear it in his interview. He has a horrible throat right now. He's barely having a hard time talking. His face is all red. You can tell he's irritated. His eyes are bloodshot red. Nick is sick. You can tell he's sick from the press conference and the way he's talking. So he's grouchy already. Those refs just made his mood even sour. No wonder he's cussing them at the end of the game. He's not feeling well. Mike saying, Van Hoot, salute, real one, Project Truth. Project Truth is in the house. The truth will be out. Van Hoot saying, Raps #1 fourth quarter stats in the NBA. So when we keep pace or don't dig ourselves in a hole, then we do well. Hi, Logic, Raptor Freak. You can call me Van Hoot, by the way. Without skills, we are -10 and 80 minutes of play. That is a very, very good thing to bring up, a stat to bring up. Without without Siakam, we are -10 and 80 minutes of play. Wow. Yeah, I mean, what can you do? And yeah, the thing about digging the hole and coming back and stuff like that, that is part of our calling card. I hate that part of our what we do. And why can't we make it easier on us, Raptors? Why do we have to be in a hole and come back? Why can't we be the ones on top and just maintaining that lead and keeping people off? Fiercely saying, good morning, fam. Coming in late today. Yesterday definitely showed how Fred and Pascal have an impact on the team. There was so much OG, Scottie, and Boucher could do. There's only so much. Yeah, we need them back. Mason saying, please don't scare Scottie away from us. Please give him time to grow. Exactly. And this is a big thing you can come at these people with. If you see people attacking Scottie right now, come at them with this logic and say, you want him on this fucking team? And then maybe they'll be like, no, we don't, because I'm actually a Heat fan. I want him to come here. And we see a problem with your fan nation. We can infiltrate. We can start this buzz. And maybe other people around will be like, yeah, he's right about Scottie, real Raptor fans. And then they're like, it gets out of control because one idiot who infiltrated and started pushing this. And then somebody's like, yeah, I just want someone to be upset. So they're getting behind them. So that's why we need to be kind of guardians and look out for this kind of stuff and be the information war battle back on these kind of things and give them that perspective of what I just said, Mason. It scares the hell out of me too, that it may get weighed into Scottie's decision making for later when he wants to decide who he wants to play for, who wants to sign a max contract back with us. And all of a sudden in the back of the head, he's, well, I'm going to remember how Toronto fans treat their players when they're having a hard time. Or something like that. You know, every fan nation is going to do this to a degree. So maybe this isn't a factor, but I don't want to take any chances with this. And this is a really good argument to tell people to shut the fuck up when they slander Scottie. Do you want him to stay in a Raptors jersey? Well, quit fucking talking shit about him. How about that? It's that simple. Treat him well when he's down. And maybe he'll be like, man, this fan nation supports me so well, even when I'm not playing well. And I know I'm not playing well. They're not twisting a knife in my back instead. So, you know, that is a really good argument for us to come at these people that may be slandering Scottie right now. It's, well, do you want him to be here long term? And if they say no, then we know that they're not in the best interest of the Raptors. Mike saying, Van Hoot, it is no worry, whatever you prefer most. I didn't know if you're trying to brand your name or going with Van Hoot. Okay, Mike, you're getting in that area again. You're getting in that area again. No, both of you guys are. I'll give Van Hoot a little bit because he hasn't really promoted himself here that much, but you're getting in that area, Mike. I'm building my channel behind the scenes, just making a few videos first, learning FCP first. Basketball Rewind is the channel, but it's not SCO'd yet. Well, whatever Van Hoot's doing, go check it out. I don't know your channel. I'm gonna have to go check it out myself. Maybe you could post it in the comments, Van Hoot. I've no problem with you. If you want to put a link to your YouTube channel in the comments for this live stream, then I can find you and check out your material because I haven't watched any of it. Fiercely saying no Scottie slander will be tolerated. Exactly. And we really can't do this. We fucked up with Kyle. We fucked up with Fred and Pascal and didn't protect these guys enough. We really love Scottie. We need to protect him in this case and not let the same kind of shit that happened to Kyle Lowry happen to Scottie Barnes at this point. We do not want that. Shane saying hard to get assists when the ball doesn't go in the basket. We missed a lot of open looks. Ball was moving just fine last night. Yep, Shane's pointing out something that we talked about recently. You don't get assists if the shots just aren't going in. And that is a big factor in why we have a low assist turnout. We were 7 for 30 at the three-point line last night. We missed a lot of those shots that would have given us more assists. Mike saying, excited to see you control the content more. I definitely enjoy your takes and thinking I do like the to the point undisputed format. Raps focused and higher IQ talk, and of course, skip is skip. I'm not sure what you're saying, Mike, exactly. I definitely enjoy your takes and thinking. I do like the to the point, undisputed format. Raps focused and higher IQ talk. And of course, skip as skip works. Laugh out loud. I don't know what I'm saying. Okay, you guys are working with skip and to the point. All right, listen, once again, Mike, you're workshopping content. This is not a content working workshop channel. This is a talking about the Raptors and they lost to the Indiana Pacers last night. This is not a talking about YouTube channels and what we're doing with content and who we're working with and all this kind of stuff. And I will ban the name Skip from my channel because I hate Skip. And I don't want you guys promoting to the point here to an extent. I don't mind Brian, and I've been on that show, and I have no problem with it. But I do not really promote Skip's projects because I'm not friendly with him. I don't like the dude, and I don't appreciate you bringing him up in here all the time. In fact, I've talked more about Skip this week than I'd like to. Let's just put it that way, Mike. So please try and follow my rules here, Mike. You're not following them today. You'd have more recently, and I'm very appreciative of it, but you're not doing it today, and I don't like that. And maybe it is because Van Hoot's here too. Let's see. Van Hoot saying, yeah, I'm going for more breakdowns. So, okay, I'm just going to skip all that stuff about y'all's content. Put the link in. I'll promote y'all's channels, but I'm not reading all the comments about your fucking shit. All right? How about that? Death saying, guys like Scottie are going through similar to what a lot of young players go through. Shot selection we saw with Tatum second year, and like you said, Siakam Kawhi year and in Tampa. Yeah, there's good examples of the path that NBA players have to go through in their development as young players to get better. And we're seeing all the evidence of this with Scottie. He's not just magically magic like Magic was, because Magic was magically just magic right away, and he just did magic things, and he was magic the whole time. But Scottie is compared to Magic all the time. But Magic is such a special individual player himself also that he could be at that high level already as a rookie and just be so good that level. And Scottie's more like Magic than the average NBA player, but nobody is exactly like Magic. And just being so prepackagedly good that he can like play in the NBA Finals in his rookie year as a center, as a point guard, and do all that stuff and win a championship his first year in the league. That's the very much exception to the rule. I mean, even LeBron and Kobe were not Kobe and LeBron when they first showed up in the NBA. They didn't come packaged as they are now. Or what they became. They had to go through the fire and develop and get better and better. And Siakam and Scottie Barnes has to do the same as Siakam did before. Okay. Yeah, I'm still gonna go ahead and yeah, I don't know what you're talking about, Van Hoot. I'm going to skip that one. Mason saying, also fun guy. Logic, Tom Duke, and all are great to chat with. Keeps everything moving the stream. Yes, thank you, Mason. Yeah. Louis here. I like this new name, Louis. We're here every morning, 9:30 a.m. Tomorrow we'll preview the Detroit Pistons game in Detroit tomorrow. Kawhi was our GOAT. This is why. Kawhi was our GOAT. Kawhi was our GOAT for one season. He was our greatest player of 1 year. He's not our GOAT for all time. And, this is the view that a lot of people from the outside think about the Raptors. Any Raptor fan will tell you Kawhi was important. And yes, he was essential for us to win that championship that year. But there's no way he's on the GOAT rankings for the greatest Raptor of all time. I'm sorry. You just can't have that. He came in for one cup of coffee and he left. And sure, it was a really good cup of coffee. It tastes real good. But no, I can't give that status to him because he just doesn't get that. But yeah, he was important to the championship, but that's the past. And we don't have him anymore, and we can win without him. And people that think that the Raptors are going to be dead forever and Kawhi is the only reason why we won a championship, you're wrong. We are going to win another championship without him. And you're going to see the greatness of Pascal Siakam and Fred VanVleet get celebrated at that point, because they'll be the common thread between the two championships that Toronto will have at that point. So there you go. Death 4K saying Malcolm Brogdon was so cheap. We need a deal like this. Can't offer us first for an old veteran who's going to let us down seconds and maybe Malachi. We talked about Brogdon because he had the decision. Indiana came to him and said, would you rather play for Boston or Toronto? He said, I'd rather play for Boston. Well, we were never in the running to get him. We didn't even talk to them about getting him. So that just wasn't the possibility. It could be that it's like very specific players will come and play for us, and some won't, and some that don't have an interest in playing in Canada. That is true. That there are still players that will refuse to come to Toronto and play for our team, but it's just not so public and out there, and we just don't deal with them. I don't know. Otto Porter was a great free agent signing and was the one we needed to get for the MLE that we did this summer, and I'm really happy with that one. I never wanted Malcolm Brogdon. I think he's a loser. I think that that dude is just a loser. He's going to be on a team. He's going to lose wherever he goes, and that's great that he's on Boston because this is going to make them a loser team. Because I feel like the Raptors always handle him so well. He's not a very dangerous weapon to us. So I'd much rather him be on another team because he's kind of a cream puff to me. So that's kind of where I stand with Malcolm Brogdon. I think he's overrated, and I don't think he's that good. So there you go. Van Hoot is saying Otto and Thad in an ideal world should be secondary playmakers, better than last year, but needs improvement. No such thing as too much playmaking and ball movement. Eric G would help with that. Eric Gordon. Yeah. Yeah. I think that's a more realistic kind of move is like not swinging for the fences, not doing anything crazy like selling the farm to get Kevin Durant in January, but maybe tuning up the bench a little bit more by getting somebody who's along the lines of like Otto Porter, but in a little bit of different look. And it doesn't necessarily have to be a point guard. It could be like just a really good 3-point shooter like Gordon. I think that's the one we would want. I think we really would. We just want more firepower, more dependable firepower, the absolute bucket for sure. Fiercely saying, not all vets are valuable, it seems. Just read Dwight Howard signed to Taiwan. I guess nobody wanted him in the NBA. Well, he's been kind of washed for a couple years recently. He's slower than he used to be. He doesn't have a lot of the offense that he used to have. He's very much like LaMarcus Aldridge at this point, just not totally in the NBA. But, you know, the way that they're good is that they're veteran and they're savvy and they can kind of outvet people. But once again, Dwight Howard's never been a good free throw shooter. And he's not a good offensive player in the last couple years. He also overestimates how good he is. He's pissed at the NBA because he wasn't in the NBA 75. Well, you didn't fucking deserve to be in the NBA 75, Dwight Howard. You're crazy if you think you were the top 75 players of all time. You are fucking crazy if you think that. Well, I'm glad he still plays. At least he's playing in Taiwan. He's still getting paid. But yeah, I think he way overvalues himself, and he is very old. I don't understand why anybody would be surprised he's not in the league anymore because he's old. And he probably should be playing in Taiwan. And once again, he way overvalues himself. He's not that good. He hasn't been good in like 5 years. So yeah, there we go. Mike saying, Howard, I'm coming to Taiwan. Video is gold content. You know, he really was pissed. In some ways, he's mad at the NBA for not being on that 75. I don't see it. I don't see it, Dwight. You're not on that team. Sorry. Van Hoot saying, by the way, not trying to promote yet, but Raptor Freak, if you have an Instagram, I'll shoot you a message privately. Logic is just being nice. Yeah, it's all good, man. Don't worry about Van Hoot. He is infracted on this violation on my channel many times in the last couple months. So it's partly that I'm like trying to keep him in line as far as like not over promoting on our channel. More is more of that. I don't mind promoting him, and I'll promote the hell out of him. It's just that I don't want to read all the comments about you guys going back and forth. And for sure, yeah, do it privately. It's like this venue is different. Like I really want y'all to give me the proper names when you're talking about certain things, and not assume that I just know which subject you're talking about with each comment, because it may be an hour later that I get to the comment finally. And then also the other thing is really kind of try and stick to what we do on this channel. Like if it's quirky and weird, you want to write something crazy, that's better than just kind of like you guys having your own conversation between each other. And it's not really having to do with the subject matter for today. I love the crazy shit and the weird stuff, but I don't want to read about like Skip and you guys talking about content and stuff. It's just not really the market place. And we could do a channel that's about YouTube content for the Raptors. That might be cool, and that might be the place for it there. But it's not here. It's not here. Cool Cat saying, I will start to highlight, expose the trolls that come at our team with garbage. We'll be interested to see the results. Ooh, I'm curious about this project too, Cool Cat. Are you going to take their names down and have like the list, Cool Cat's list of the trolls, the people, like even good Raptor fans, people that I really enjoy on Twitter? I've had to stop following them because they've turned on the team and they're losing in the last 2 days and they're being really snarky. Like, I don't like people calling the Raptors the Craptors. And I don't care how bad they're playing, but when you put that C in front of our team name, you are just like a Celtic fan. And I don't consider you a Raptor fan at that point. If you're gonna put a C in front of our name, never do that. Never ever do that. And don't start fucking talking about Barneys either. You start talking that kind of shit around me, I'm gonna be like, you're not a real one. Because you're very much, it's an abusive relationship. Then it's like, look at the Raptors as being like a spouse or a partner, a love in your love life. How do you treat them? How do you treat them? Do you treat them like your girlfriend? Do you treat them like your boyfriend? Do you treat them really nice on the days when they're doing good? And then when they're having a bad day, you fucking shit all over them and fucking tell them they're a piece of shit? That's really what I want Raptor fans to start thinking about. Your team is like a relationship. Like doesn't have to be a romantic relationship. It could be a friendship. It could be a friend, anybody that you care about. How you treat your team reflects how you treat people. So you want to treat people like that? You want to turn the back knife into their back when they're hurting, kick them when they're already down. That's what you're doing, is what I'm saying. So think about it from that perspective. The way you treat your team is how would you treat your spouse? Oh, you had a really bad day at work today, honey? Well, here's a cup of fucking coffee in your face. You know? Oh, you got fired today, honey? Well, let me just kick you in the balls. Bam. It's like, what is that mentality? You should be coming at them and say, oh, no, I'm sorry, honey. You had such a bad day. You know what? You will get another job tomorrow. I believe in you, and I know you're going to be successful. Who do you want to be as far as a partner in that relationship? You want to be an abusive person in a relationship? Because that's what y'all are with the Raptors. Some of y'all are in an abusive relationship with the Raptors, and you're the abuser because you're the one who's like, oh, you suck? Well, I hate you. You suck. I hate Nick Nurse, and Raptors are craptors right now. That's what it is. Really think about it in that way. It's like, how's your relationship with a team? Are you abusive towards them when they don't do well? There you go. And Cool Cat, I would love to see what you have in your findings. Come back to me and let us know what is going on with what you're finding out in your troll experiments and finding out information. Logical saying no blank talk. Yeah, he's on the show and where I started talking to Van Hoot. No shit talk. Okay, well, it's all good. Listen, I don't listen, Skip. Skip is Skip. Skip can be Skip, but in my world, I don't want Skip to exist. So I just kind of cut him out. I had nothing to do with him. In fact, I told Brian I will not associate with Robert Misovich. If you guys know who Robert Misovich is, they wanted me to be on to the point with Robert. And I said, no, Brian, I refuse. I do not like this dude. I do not condone him and what he does around the Raptors and his content and the things he's saying around them. So I do not acknowledge him. So I refused. And that's the last time they asked me to be on the show. I said, no, I'm not going to do it if Robert's on the show with me. So there are some people that I've X'd out. I'm like, no, I have nothing to do with them. And he's one of them and Skip's the other one. Those are the two main ones right now. So if you ask me to be on a show and one of those two guys are on the panel, I'm not fucking involved. I'm saying, nope, it's a pass. It's a pass. Let's see. Fiercely saying Kawhi is really struggling now. Kawhi is just struggling with his health. He's just struggling. Listen, we dodged such a bullet that he did not resign with us. Maybe we would have kept him in shape. McKechnie may have kept him in line. And this is the reason why Kawhi loves Alex McKechnie so much. Well, you fucked up, Kawhi. You're an idiot. You go ahead and go to the Clippers and fucking just not play like 95% of the time you've been there. That's fine. You go ahead. You saved us the headache of paying you so much fucking money and just to watch you sit on the bench. Good. I appreciate that. Maybe you are a good Raptor because you avoided doing that to us. And we absolutely got the best out of you in 1 year. And you didn't hang around for another year for all of us to get disappointed in you and hate you because you're sitting on a bench in street clothes. So, yeah, there you go. Maybe it all worked out perfectly with Kawhi. And I'm all about it. Nameless saying Masai is sick. Earl is sick. Malachi is sick. The Raptor is sick. We are all sick of trolls and negative Raptor fans coming down on this team, kicking them when they're down. Like, seriously, your husband comes home from work. Oh, I got my review today, and I'm not going to be getting that raise, honey. Wham! Slap! Bam! Slap! Well, you're not getting dinner tonight then, honey. Wow. Wow. Okay, Louis saying, I'm a fan since Carter, not an outsider. DeRozan lost Lowry, Carter, etc., all Kawhi, and this team is just average. Now, you can say all this stuff. You're just naming Raptor names, but I don't have to believe that you're a real one because, first of all, real ones speak a certain way. Listen, you can think that our team is just average, but okay, sure. The record presently is average. It's 7-7. I won't dispute that that is somewhat correct, but this is not who we are. We're an above average team and we're healthy. Like when Pascal comes back, we're going to start winning 60, 70% of our games again. And it's going to be totally different. You are a negative fan if you think that we're just average team without Kawhi and you're not paying attention, obviously. Kawhi's been gone a long time. I can always tell a fan that isn't really that knowledgeable or really a real Raptors fan when they talk about Kawhi so much. Oh, Kawhi this, Kawhi that, Kawhi this. No, you're an outsider. You are an outsider because you don't understand where we are with Kawhi. And it's that we've gone past him. We have had very good success without him since, and we're doing good things and we're on our way up. And I don't know, Louis. I want to give you a chance to redeem yourself if you have some more comments and maybe say some things of what I just said. But I don't believe that you're actually a real one because it's real easy to just name Raptor names: Carter, Bosch, Lowry. That doesn't mean you fucking really know what's going on. It just means that maybe you've seen some names and people that played, and like I said, somebody who overvalues Kawhi Leonard is usually a real telltale sign that this is not a real one, and this is not somebody who actually understands what the Raptors are all about and what we've been doing since he left. They're still caught up on the Kawhi thing, and a lot of the other people in the NBA think, oh, the Raptors just suck because Kawhi left, and that's the end of their narrative for us. That's all they think. That's the end of the point. Oh, they don't even think about the Tampa stuff or anything. They say Kawhi left, and now the Raptors just suck, and that's the end of it. That's all they say. Well, that's not the true story. That's not actually the reality of the team. We're a good team. We're above average team. We may be an average team this weekend, but wait till next weekend, maybe the weekend after that, and come see us again and make that assessment then. You say they're average then, okay, then we'll really argue with you. But right now, I'll let you have just average right now because statistically is right, 7-7. But yeah, no, dog. If you heavily weight Kawhi like that, I'm sorry, you're out. You're outed. Death 4K saying getting someone like Brogdon is what I meant. The way that deal was structured was what we need for the production he gives. Yeah, okay, for like purely cheap, you get a good player like that. I agree. Well, I guess the two options were us and them, and that really was because Indiana wanted to deal with either Boston or us to get assets from the two teams. It wasn't really that those were his two choices that he wanted first. It's that Indiana had decided in their head, it's like, okay, Malcolm, we want you to move to another team, and we want to either trade with Toronto or Boston. Which would you prefer? Well, I think Boston's more further along with their championship aspirations since they got the finals last year. So send me to Boston. Okay, we'll figure out a deal with them, and we'll get this guy back and this guy back, and we'll send you that way. And that's really how that all went down. But that's really interesting that we were the two teams that Indiana wanted to deal with. That there are people on our team that they very much are interested in. And that's all that I got from that whole information. It wasn't anything that we were interested in Brogdon. It wasn't that Brogdon was interested in us, because he wasn't. It was that Indiana was interested in us. Let's just put it that way. That's the interesting part of that whole thing. And I think that we got Otto on a steal. So really, Otto is that deal that you're talking about in some ways. That we got a really good deal on him for very little money for what we're paying him. Van Hoot saying the laziness comment was in response to you, Raptor Freak, talking about Scottie settling on jumpers. Okay, yeah, and I'm glad that he's not being lazy and just settling for jumpers, that he listened to Nick Nurse and he is initiating himself into the paint with contact and really trying to bully around, because that's the hard route. He could be taking the easy route and just settling for jumpers, like you said, but he's not doing that. He's going into the fire and taking the hard brunt of the development struggle. and not making it easier for himself by just taking easy outside shots. He really is trying to establish a low post game, and that's not easy in the NBA. Cool Cat saying we will win a championship with Pascal, Fred, OG, and Scottie. I believe this. I really do. And I once again will say it: NBA champions 2023, Toronto Raptors. It may sound crazy to some people, like Louis. They may think I'm absolutely batshit crazy to say NBA champions, Toronto Raptors 2023. But you know what? In 2018, at this time, people thought I was fucking crazy when I said this shit. Yeah. In 2018, at this time, people thought I was crazy for even dreaming or even thinking that the Raptors had a chance to win a championship in 2019. And that's why I'm going to continue to say it and put it out there and manifest it in my words. Toronto Raptors, NBA champions 2023. And y'all come with me and say it too when you get up in the morning every morning. And you know what? Who knows? We may fuck around and manifest destiny. And that's what I'm all about. We're going to manifest some destiny for these Raptors to get more championships. That is the old goal. If you don't have that same goal as me, Louis, in what I just said, getting the Raptors more NBA championships, then you are not a real one. You're not in the right place, because this is what we're doing here. We want more Larry O'Briens north of the border in Canada. And if you don't have that goal, then you're in the wrong place, is what I'll tell you right now. Mason saying, let's hope we can get a win. We need one. Hope you have a good day, Lex. Raptors get healthy. We are a top 3 team. If we are hurt, not so much. But like I said, before we were young, we get there. So soon, go Raps. Yeah, we are one of the top teams in the East. We are, when we're fully healthy and we have everybody available. Trust me, we are. We are in the top 5, if not the top 3, with Boston and Milwaukee. And it will show more and more as the season unfolds that is the damn truth. Oh, yeah. Mike saying, great stream today. Sorry about the content talk today. I will show less promoting in logical phase 2. You will see the difference. All right, Mike, listen, I know you're in development just like Scottie, and you're going through the fire a bit yourself, but I know you're doing good stuff. And I appreciate, like, seriously, it is a compliment to me that there are other content producers that come and value what I'm doing here, like Van Hoot and yourself. So I really do appreciate y'all's presence here. And I don't want you to feel like I'm like anti-promoting you guys at all. It's just there's a limit. There's a limit. And, I want to do like maybe 1 or 2 shots for you guys during the whole stream, but not really getting bogged down in the conversation. You guys will figure it out. Van Hoot saying it's not laziness. It's needing to add dribble moves plus counters, which take time to build, and not wasting any dribble movements or energy to get into those counters. That is how you get to Kawhi level. Yes. I think we're in complete agreement on this. I want him to be at a Kawhi level at some point. And the great thing is he has those hands like Kawhi, these giant motherfucking fingers that can get a certain kind of English spun off of them than a normal size, smaller hand. That is part of Kawhi's secret. We saw it in the bounce shot against Philadelphia, that there's an English that he can get off that extra little bit off his fingers that can really overpower the shot to make it even more like it's like a magic shot on like a video game, that if you can put the right buttons, you get an extra special magic spin that makes the ball automatically go in. It's in golf games, it's in basketball games. That kind of spin you can get if you play the game the right way. Well, Kawhi has that in real life in the NBA. And that is not a trait that many players have around the NBA or have had historically in a lot of ways. There are players that have. But Scottie is one of those dudes that has the right repertoire and the makeup of him to be able to replicate and possibly get that Kawhi really good spin off huge hands near the basket, where the English is so good that even if the shot's weird miss, it may rim around or may bounce like 4 times, it will go in because of that spin being so like homing in, like homing missile kind of thing. So that's one of the things I like about this. And you're exactly right. He's got to figure out the counters, the moves. That's why I was saying Kevin McHale in particular, because one of the things that Kevin McHale did so well in the low post back in the day was he used his pivot foot and he did a lot of dancing around. It was very similar to Olajuwon, where they'll do a spin this way and they'll do a spin this way and then they'll do this way. And they'll really get the defender like going the wrong way. And then they'll go back the other way and they'll make it real easy. That is the kind of stuff that we want to see young Scott Wayne develop and get really good at and make his bread and butter. because it's going to be so fruitful. And it also, at some point, it's just going to click and everybody's going to be like, we can't fucking stop Scottie. We can't stop him. There's just no way we can stop him. He really has that power to eventually become an unstoppable player in this league. And it's just we got to let him develop and get there. Yeah, I love it, Van Hoot, and I agree with you. This is what we're going for. We want him to have a Kawhi Leonard kind of scoring prowess right next to the basket, and it will come. I see all signs point to he will be successful and he'll be able to acquire this kind of level of play. And that's why people don't understand we can win championships with this team that we have right now, is because Scottie can duplicate some of the stuff that Kawhi did for us in the championship run eventually when he gets better and he really learns it. Def 4K saying, yeah, Kawhi uses the 3 dribble rule a lot, does not really size up or waste energy. Yeah. And that's another person he needs to watch a lot of tape of. Kawhi Leonard, Kevin McHale, Hakeem Olajuwon, Scottie. Watch these dudes. Watch them seriously and learn something about them. Maybe Rico's telling him about Olajuwon and the dream shake. Maybe Scottie can learn a little dream shake. Like that it really is a little bit of like going around, and then and then there was a little bit of natural movement that he did recently where he did kind of shake a guy off by kind of going up and under, kind of like Kevin McHale kind of move. So I think he naturally is in him. It's just he's really going to have to think about it, kind of like how you think about your footwork, and you think about like every move is not wasted. Exactly what you guys are describing right here. Very efficient and making it happen. MK saying, wasn't Anthony Davis top 75? I know. I don't agree with that one either. He does not deserve to be in the top 75. There was a lot of older players that did not get mentioned or thought about for this top 75 that should have been included. There's way too many recent players that don't deserve it. Guys who haven't done enough. I would even argue that Giannis doesn't deserve it at this point. He's too young. He's only got 1 championship. And sure, he probably will deserve it by the end of his career, but I think you gave it to him too soon, that he doesn't deserve it. Is Luka on the list? I don't even know if Luka deserves to be on the list. I know Lillard doesn't deserve to be on the list. I would even argue that Chris Paul does not deserve to be on this list. James Harden is a hard case. In some ways, he's right there, 50-50. I would say maybe he doesn't deserve to be on that list since he hasn't won a championship. And people like Alex English and Bernard King and people like this from way back in the day who are just as good as scorers. In fact, they played better defense than James Harden. They are not on the list, but James Harden is. Russell Westbrook, he's another one. I'm sure he's a triple-double machine in some ways, but he hasn't won, and he's been a failure in a lot of ways also. When you talk about the 75 greatest, you want greatness. And some of these more recent people that are on the All-NBA top 75 team are not that great, if you ask me. There's not things on their resume that make them not that great. And Anthony Davis is one of them. He's not that great. In some ways, he's actually a lot of wasted potential is what he is to me. Louis saying, it's just facts. These players all never won a ring. Kawhi's the only one final MVP. See, once again, you're not a Raptors fan. Obviously, you're outing yourself just by how you're saying things. Why are you arguing this? If you're for the Raptors, you want good things for them. Then why would you argue this? Maybe because you are not one of us. You are an outsider. And I shall shun you, Louis Lagosakos. You are shunned. Kawhi's not the only one who got a ring that night, and he isn't the only one who made that ring happen. And so many people want to believe that. Pascal Siakam had a big part in that ring happening. Fred VanVleet, Kyle Lowry, Serge Ibaka, Marc Gasol, Norman Powell. There was a whole team involved in winning that championship. And everybody wants to conveniently just say, oh, Kawhi won that championship, and then he left. And then Toronto has nothing in their cupboard. Fuck you for that. That's not the truth. And you can say that, oh, he's the only one. Oh, whatever. Fuck that shit. Pascal Siakam, Finals MVP 2023. Pascal Siakam, Finals MVP 2023. Put it into existence, and it'll happen. Watch. Yeah. Cool Cat is saying, all right, let's see. Kawhi's career would be extended if he was still with us. Would be load managed for a next chip under Dr. McKechnie, play once a month, and then only play critical moments in playoffs. Nick Nurse is a mad scientist. Yes, exactly. Like, he's stupid. He threw away another championship, honestly. I don't think the Lakers would have won the bubble championship if Kawhi had still been in Toronto at that point, and we were in the bubble with Kawhi on our team. We would have beat Boston, and we might have won a second championship and repeated. In fact, that's why they wanted to run him out so quick. And that's why so many people took so much glee in Kawhi leaving from Toronto, other than Toronto Raptors fans, because they knew our chances for repeating went away. And the chances for us repeating were very high with him staying there. So, Louis, you're really showing your colors, bro. Your spots are showing, bro. I'm sorry, man. You're not a very good liar, and you're not acting well enough. If you are a Raptors fan, well, go look in the mirror, and maybe you need to make some changes. Maybe you should go root it for another team, because you're not with us. You're not with the real ones. I'm going to tell you that right now. You're not with the real ones. You're not on the same page with us. Death for Case saying, you can't say that about Kawhi. He was really hurt and tore important muscles. That's for sure. You mean like over there where he is now? Yeah, we can't say that about him. Who knows? He may have Nintendo-itis. He's playing too much Nintendo. Maybe he got hurt on this the set of the Drake video that he was on. Too sexy. Maybe he was like, oh, I can't shrug. Oh, no, I got hurt. I can't play in the Clippers game now. Sorry, guys. I got hurt at the Drake video shoot. Standing in the clouds, being awkward. I don't know. Nameless to say, Penzer basketball is a fear monger. That's the other thing. It's like, what do you want to put in the world? What am I trying to do right now? Shine a light, be positive, and say good things about the Raptors for us to move in a positive direction. Some content makers want to just revel in the failures of the Raptors and really point them out and put them on blast, and then try and pretend this is the course that they're going to go forward with in a very negative way. Yeah, why are you even making that content? Why don't you just not? Why don't you just go make bird watching content or something else? If you hate the Raptors so much, why do you cover them so much? Why, if you think that they're not that good, if you don't think they're going to be successful, if you don't think they're ever going to win another championship, why do you fucking cover the Raptors so much? Is what I'm going to ask these people at some point. Yeah, fear mongering. There's a very much a contingency of people in this world that want to manipulate and control people through fear. And they'll do it at all kinds of different ways and different levels. And that is part of what he's doing. He's fear mongering for sure. Edmund's saying Raptors can win the championship in 2023, and Dwayne Casey's championship aspirations is to beat the Raptors. No, it's actually not. You're going to be shocked, Edmund. Seriously, watch the Jake's Takes interview with Dwayne Casey. You know what he says about the Raptors? It's actually really nice, guys. I'll just go ahead and say it. You know what Dwayne Casey said? He said, whenever the Raptors are playing, I'm rooting for them, except for when they play me. He actually cheers for Toronto still and loves our team so, so much. He hates how things went down. He loves his team. You guys don't fucking understand that he was our coach for 8 years and that he absolutely was a huge part of our fabric of our team, and that it hurt that he had to leave, and that he still has a very much like DeMar DeRozan, a strong, strong love and affinity for our city, for our people, for our fans, for all kinds of things about the Toronto Raptors, that he literally told Jake's Takes that when we are not playing the Raptors, I root for them in the other games. In fact, I love Scottie Barnes. I think he's a fantastic player. I'm glad he won Rookie of the Year, and I am so enamored with him, and I love that the Raptors are succeeding with him. This is what Dwayne Casey said, that as long as they're not playing me, I'm rooting for them. So when we played Indiana last night, he was rooting for us to beat Indiana. He's not going to be rooting for us tomorrow because we're going to be playing him. But he is not against us. He loves the Raptors. He loves our nation, and he loves our culture. He really does not have the hate that we think he does towards us. And it's all evident in the interview with Jake's Takes. Jake got it out of him, and he said, I love the city. I love the fans. I love everything about Toronto. It's such an important, special place to me in my heart. That he has no hate towards us. He's not mad at us anymore about how he got the raw deal. He really isn't. It's gone and bad. It's old news. And he's above it. He's better than it. So I think this whole narrative about Dwayne Casey hating the Raptors and coming after us and all this stuff, maybe the basketball gods saw an injustice in the way we fired him after getting Coach of the Year. And then we went and got a championship, and they want to even it out. And we have lost to him a lot. And maybe the guys are not like Casey. They're like, we haven't forgiven them for what they did to you, Coach. But the Pistons players. But maybe Casey has himself. So I don't know. There are a lot of factors to this. He is very familiar with our system. It's something that Saban Lee said in a 905 interview recently. I've been playing in the Pistons organization, and I've just showed up for the 905, and it's really easy for me to learn the 905 system and the Raptor system in general because it's so similar to Dwayne Casey's system in Detroit. And this is probably way more a reason why Detroit gets our number is because he is so familiar with us and he knows what we're doing. He worked with Nick Nurse for how many years next to each other as coaches? So he's so familiar with us. And then add in the fact that Detroit's a younger, hungrier team than us in some ways. And they play the same style as us. And we saw Oklahoma City play the same style against us. The Raptors, they beat beat the Raptors at their own game on Friday night, the Thunder. And the Detroit is that kind of team too, is that they try and beat us at our own game. And in some ways, we don't do well against that. Most teams aren't crazy enough or willing enough to put the kind of energy into playing like the Raptors to beat the Raptors. Well, OKC had it on Friday night, and quite often Detroit has it when we face them. And these are the reasons why Detroit has had such good success since Casey's left. He's familiar with our team. The team is very similar to ours, and they out-Raptor us. And that's what we need to keep in mind. But Casey has no ill will towards us. In fact, he loves us, guys. He loves the Raptor Freak cult. He loves the city. It may be that he saw some of the stuff I did this summer and showing love to him. And he's like, oh, man, the Raptor fans actually really do appreciate and love us, love me for how I built the team up to a playoff team over the years in the 2010s with Kyle and DeMar. That the Raptor fans actually don't forget all I did for them. And the real ones really do love and support and care about me also still, even though I coach for the Detroit Pistons. So it's very complicated with DWAYNE, but there's no ill feelings. We love each other. Raptors fans love him. He loves us. And it's not as deep as a crazy thing as everybody's making it out to be. It's just the stats make it seem like it, the fear and the wins and losses. So there you go. There's a little bit about what I was going to say about tomorrow about Jake's Takes interview. But very much, you guys got to go listen to it. You'll hear it from Casey's mouth, and you actually might shed a little tear like I did. Because the way he said it and the way he really means it, and he really does love us. And I was a little teary-eyed hearing Casey say it and how he said it. Van Hoot saying Kawhi has a degenerative and progressive muscle tissue disorder. He will never be healthy again on a consistent basis with or without Alex McKechnie. That really sucks, and I hate to hear that, because I really am rooting for him. In some ways, I want Kawhi to do what LeBron has done and win a third championship with a third team, because it really is a really good thing to push our team's history ahead by saying, okay, Kawhi was a part of our history, because the more better he gets on the bigger scale, it does help us in some ways. So I am rooting for Kawhi to get healthy and win another championship for the Clippers. In fact, I was hoping that if we don't win the championship this year, the Clippers could win the championship this year with Kawhi leading them. So, man, I hate to hear this. And if if this is true about Kawhi and he'll never ever be exactly healthy or good enough, that sucks. That is really sad and depressing. And it wouldn't have mattered if he was with McKechnie or not, huh? Cool Cat saying Pascal will be the beneficiary of the Kawhi chip experience. Scottie will be the beneficiary of the Pascal chip experience. Winning mentality and succession planning is no joke. This is exactly right. And this is how franchises win in cycles. You can think about the Spurs. David Robinson was a part of the first championship and mentoring Tim Duncan. But then later on, it really was Duncan was the guy who was in charge and leading the team because David Robinson retired. It's like Robinson got that championship and he did what he needed to do. And then he gave the keys to Duncan. As Duncan, he really kind of held it the rest of the way. But that's something that could happen with us. That Kawhi was a guy like David Robinson in their first championship, and that Pascal could be like Tim Duncan and all of a sudden show up and do this. Now, people would be like, oh, Pascal's nothing like Tim Duncan. He's not as good. Well, the collective unit of the Raptors, as talent-wise, altogether with Scottie, OG, Pascal, Fred, Gary, Precious, they actually may add up to what the San Antonio Spurs had with their nucleus of Duncan and Parker and Ginobili and the stuff they were doing. The talent may be very equal. It's just spread in different ways. It's a little bit more in the top 6 guys on our team spread out more over than their top 4 is kind of where it was, all the talent was spread out in 4 guys, and there's more role players around it. Well, we have like 6 really good guys, and then more role plays around that, and it's not so really uh, centralized or concentrated in one player like Tim Duncan. You know, there's Tim Duncan things about Scottie Barnes about him. Then there's Tim Duncan things about Pascal, and they kind of share that role in some way. So, all right, let's keep going. Mike's saying facts on the big hands. The long arms and the big hands are harder to build consistency, but when at a high level, the capability of those shooters is unlimited, in my opinion. Yes, he can really will the ball in some extra ways with having that extra finger. Seriously, it's really weird. It's like an English, like a pool thing, like with the cue and how you hit it. In some ways, you can really get a good spin. Like if you play basketball, you understand spin in your jump shot. You can really get a good spin if your hand's longer in some ways. So it's really interesting to see, and I'm excited to see what happens with Scottie over time. Mason saying, just want to say, Raptor basketball is my blood since I was 5 years old. From what I learned, we never give up. There are always going to be tough times in the NBA, but staying healthy and learning. Yeah, there you go, Mason. You hitting the nutshell where we should be right now. Is keep going, keep believing, and don't let things get too down. We are in a really good spot. We're one of the best franchises in the NBA. We need to realize the reality of things. We're not Indiana. Indiana's in a much worse position. Oklahoma City, in a lot of ways, is in a much worse position than we are. We're in one of the best positions in the NBA in all kinds of ways. So we need to keep perspective and understand exactly who we are and where we are, and realize we're in a good place and have gratitude towards that, instead of really worrying like the sky's falling and everything's awful and we're shit and we're just doomed. That's not the case. Everything's sunny and the future is bright. This is the kind of thing where we should be looking forward to good things happening in the future. Edmund saying, Lex, your in-depth knowledge is why I tune in as much as possible, Raptor Freaks. Thank you, Race Mode Daily. I appreciate you being here, and I appreciate you playing the Fantasy League, and I'm glad that you find value in what I'm saying. Mike saying, yeah, continue to grow and keep learning. Awesome. Louis saying, now Leafs can win it all. See, this is the thing. Louis, you may be a Toronto fan, but you may be more of a Leafs fan. And this is the thing. I have talked about this a lot. Hockey fans that are hockey fans first and then Raptor fans second have a hard time objectively rooting for the Raptors in the right way, because the Leafs nation and the culture has been like made you kind of pessimistic, has made you more like cynical from disappointment from years and years of the Leafs not getting past the first round. So part of that is like, all right, sometimes if I'm talking to someone and I say, okay, well, something's wrong with how they're a fan of the Raptors, I'm like, well, are you a Leafs fan first? And that tells me all I need to know. Because if you come at sports from a Leaf fan perspective, sure, I can understand why you would say some of the things that people say about the Raptors, but that's not how we are. We're separate. We have red as our color. Y'all's color is blue. And that's the thing. We aren't a part of that kind of culture. We don't have the problems with Harold Ballard or any of the C word that may be around the Leaf Nation and the Leaf team is not with the Raptors. That messed us up earlier on when we were at the Air Canada Center, when both teams were very close. Y'all's dysfunction fucked our team up all kinds of crazy ways. I saw it because I worked in the building at that time. And I saw just how much the Leafs were messing up the Raptors as a team. So when they got separated, we're very much separate. Tim Lewicki, that means we have nothing to do with y'all's culture. Way y'all look at first rounds, the way y'all look at losing and being doomed, and oh no, this is the same thing always Toronto sports. We ain't fucking buying that shit. We ain't got nothing to do with that. So if you're a Leaf fan first, then treat that way. But you're gonna have to separate your fandom with the Raptors and be a little more positive, be a little more optimistic, and be a little bit more like the Raptors can win championships and stuff like that. So, but Louis, listen, I'd love the Leafs to win a Stanley Cup, but yeah, I don't know when it's going to happen. It could happen this year. Who knows? I'd love for them to do that though. Mason says Louis is a troll. MK, what video are you asking about, MK? I'll answer that. Just write it in real quick. What is the video on YouTube? I don't know what video it is. All right, just a recap. Shitty loss to Indiana last night. We really ran out of gas in the last mile of the game, and their car just happened to pass us and get the finish line at the end. It's really too bad that happened. It's going to give a lot of unsure fire fuel to like just bullshit artists and trolls and fucked up Raptor fans in the next couple days. So I really fully expect, if this is the kind of thing where you expect the unexpected, I think we're going to come with a good effort against Detroit tomorrow, and we're going to kick their ass. I really do believe this. But I'll do the research tonight about where Detroit is exactly, their injuries and stuff. And of course, I'll have the ref report, everything, 9:30 a.m. tomorrow morning. We'll go over all that and set us up for the game for tomorrow and stuff like that. All right, let's see. Louis saying, I do like them. I just don't feel like we have a player like Giannis or Curry. We have a good team, but not a top 5 team in the NBA. Well, I think Siakam is a top 5 player, and he's actually a lot closer to those 2 players than you actually think. Once again, let's not poo-poo our team. Let's be proud of our team. Let's build them up, and let's think the best for them. Siakam, they said in the summer that we don't have a superstar. Well, Siakam's proved them wrong. We have a superstar. In his absence, we really feel like we have a superstar. So I don't like this. I don't like this that you're labeling we don't have a player like them. Well, Pascal's pretty damn close. And most teams in this league don't have a Giannis or a Curry. We do have a Pascal and a Fred VanVleet. And that's better than what most teams have compared to what is closer to them. I'd say Pascal's closer to Giannis and Fred's closer to Steph than most teams of what they've got on their team in other places. So don't poo-poo our guys. And we are a good team, and we are a top 5 team in the East, and we could possibly be a top 5 team in the whole NBA by the end of the year. We'll have to see how it happens. Name was saying, hockey sucks, bro. Believe me, I watched for 30 years. I want to get into hockey, and it's in my blood. I'm, Scandinavian from Manitoba, kind of back roots in my life, and I think I would be a really good hockey player if I learned how to play hockey. But I grew up in Tallahassee, Florida, and there ain't no fucking hockey down there. So I play basketball, and that's really the main reason why I'm not a Canadian that's really big on hockey. I just never got into it because I didn't grow up in Canada. I was in the States. So I grew up in Florida as a Canadian kid, and I loved the NBA. And that's why the Raptor Freak is the Raptor Freak, and he's not the Leaf Freak. But I want to like the Leafs. My dad used to go to Leaf games when he grew up here in Toronto in the 60s. He actually used to go when they won Stanley Cups. And it's historically my fandom and my family. But they piss me off. Their dysfunction hurt my team that I really love, and that's the Raptors. And I still feel like Leaf Nation is a thorn in our side to a degree. So I'm still not totally friendly with them, and I'm officially in Winnipeg Jets fan nation. Yeah, Winnipeg, baby. But anyway, y'all, thanks for joining me today. Please like, comment, subscribe. If you like anything that I said today, please hit that subscribe button. Louis, I don't want you to think I just want to come after you. I do like differences in opinion, and maybe I was a little too harsh on you. I appreciate your subscription, and I hope you'll come back and continue to espouse your opinions. And we may not always agree, and there's no right or wrong answer. There's some truth that's somewhere in between, but we are a positive channel, and we will be doing positive things here and fighting the good fight for them. And that's what we do here. Love the session today. Cool Cat. Thank you, Cool Cat. And I hope you have a wonderful Sunday. Let's take the day off, guys. The guys are in Detroit today. I don't know what the fuck there is to do in Detroit and just wait around for the game tomorrow. Hopefully they're just getting good film sessions, good tape in, and figuring out some adjustments and getting a good game plan for tomorrow. I hope Fred's got a lot of vitamin C and echinacea, and hopefully he's ready and able to play tomorrow. That would be really helpful in this. MK, you want to know where the Casey thing is? Yeah, it's on YouTube. It's on the channel Jake's Takes. Just look up Jake. I might even put a link in the comments after this, and you can find it real easy. The interview with Dwayne Casey from last week that Jake did with him, it's on his channel, Jake's Takes. So if you YouTube search Jake's Takes, you'll find it. All right, guys, thanks again. And yeah, we're losing right now. It sucks. And a lot of people are on a ledge, but they don't need to be. Just understand the net's on the ground, and his name's Pascal Siakam. And he'll be coming back very soon, and everything will be fine. So let's not chicken little and get too in the moment and think, oh, this is who the Raptors are, and this is who we are. We're just this shitty team that's lost 2 games in a row the last 2 nights. Nope, that's not the truth. And it isn't the truth that we're the same team that beat Atlanta and San Antonio so handily in such a crazy ass up and down game. That's not exactly who we are either. We're somewhere in the middle. consistently, and we will find that great excellence that will get us to the promised land once again. Thanks again, y'all, and have a great Sunday. Let's go Raptors.